around, had a whole bunch of Joseph Newgarden, right?
Who finished
Correct?
fifth.
Finished fifth. From Hendersonville, had a whole bunch of support yesterday, too. Fourth.
Finished fourth.
There was a lot of good that came out of yesterday. Again,
Yeah.
all I can say is Nashville is just going to Nashville it.
And it's crazy because they will be switching the course next year, obviously with the stadium, the new stadium being built, but it is going to be downtown. I saw some of the live interactives of the new course. It's pretty cool because it's going through downtown, so imagine all the big buildings around you.
Is it going down Broadway?
Yeah. It's going to be pretty legit.
Wow.
And so it'll be nice for these guys, too, because I know there's a couple parts on this course that remain very, very tricky. That turn 9, which you guys, I believe, were hanging out in, definitely something that has been a problem for the drivers here in the last 3 years. But it'll be interesting. You guys had a little bit of air conditioning. I'll tell you what, though, when you're down there, trackside, good luck, because it's you're heat exhausted. I don't know how the drivers do it.
I don't either.
Me either.
It's crazy.
I was impressed by, like I said, walking. We were at Lot E, the park, and then the walk over, like I said, the pavement in itself.
Yeah.
If you could have held a laser thermometer to the ground, it probably would have said 111.
Sure.
It was legitly hot yesterday.
Yeah.
That's why you see them turning the way they are on restarts, is to warm up the tires. Go faster when the tires are warmed up, where they're just turning
zigzagging
pretty quickly.
Mm-hmm.
But it was a really fun race. You had about 70 laps with no stoppages. And I'm thinking to myself, it took them 3 years to totally perfect this thing where you can have a full race without a ton of stoppages like there have been over the last 2 years, just in time to move it to somewhere else. And then the last 10 laps, it was more what we've been accustomed to the past 2 years, where you get restart, caution, and then set up for a 3-lap sprint, essentially, to finish it off. And it was really fun. It was cool.
You have to be very strategic with this, don't you?
Oh, yeah.
Well,
you have
your
strategy
pit stops
specialists,
and everything.
too. That's just all they do.
But there's not wide lanes to pass other than over the Korea Vets Bridge.
Well, you have a certain amount of push to pass that you can use in IndyCar.
Okay.
Where you can basically open the flap on your back wing and make your car go a little bit faster. So in F1, that's called DRS, where it's drag resistance system, I think is what it is. So if you're in a certain amount of space behind someone or in front of someone on a certain part of the track, you can open the flap on the back of your car and go faster. But in IndyCar, it's called push to pass, and you can only use that feature for a certain amount of seconds. So it was a big deal that one of the guys in the top 5, when they restarted with 3 laps to go, had 88 seconds of push to pass left for the entire race. So he used his strategy well and was able to finish quickly.
It's also
not to get too in the weeds.
It's pretty fascinating. I did not realize that this has quickly become one of the favorite tracks or street courses, or just in general on the IndyCar circuit, one of the favorite places to be, so much so that they have moved it to the end of the season for the next 3 years. So this will be the finale for NTT IndyCar.
Yeah.
So that's also interesting, because just being around these people all weekend, because I worked Friday, Saturday, and Sunday for IndyCar, the actual IndyCar, right? And you hear about what they really think about the city and all this, and it's just raving reviews. I mean, obviously there's fixes to the course you could make.
Absolutely.
But that will be a something new they're going to have to figure out with this new one. But everything else, they rave about Nashville.
Yeah, Kyle Kirkwood getting the win.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was fun.
It seemed like he led for the most part all race, though, too, didn't he? If I'm not mistaken. I feel like he did, from what I was watching.
For a
for
good
a lot
chunk of it, he did,
His second win in his IndyCar career.
St. Pete, I believe, was his first, another street
course.
Yep.
I'm just shocked at how fast they hit those corners. I know the technology of the cars deal with a lot of, the ins and outs of it, but the way they weave in and out of those corners with no wreck and barely any break at all, I'm just like...
Don't try to mimic that, please.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
I couldn't imagine riding with them in a regular car. I just couldn't, because... What do they do in traffic situations? They know the angles and how much you can go because they're pros at it. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I can see something on the practice field, this is about to happen. Can you imagine being that skilled in a car to where you just imagine I got enough room.
They probably get more frustrated than in traffic.
I wanted to do that. Yeah,
That's the vibe I've gotten from a lot of those guys too.
Is it really what it is?
Doing that event I emceed Wednesday with Elio Castroneves, who's a 4-time IndyCar champ. he was like, we need to teach everyone that the left lane is for passing and for going fast.
I'm with him on that.
He should connect with Dunne. Maybe they'll be on the same page on that one.
Yeah, they should.
615-737-1045, our number on the first Titans preseason week of the 2023 campaign. We've got Geoff Schwartz of SiriusXM and Fox Sports coming up at 7:30 this morning, talking us through Big Ten and Pac-12 expansion and realignment that took a couple more twists over the weekend. Great piece from Stuart Mandel of The Athletic as well, who gave more clarity into exactly the details that George Kliavkoff and the Pac-12 were offered from Apple TV. Interesting stuff there that we'll dive into as the morning continues. We've got NFL headlines on a busy weekend where preseason football completely starts this week, and Tyler Dunne of GoLongTD.com will join us at 8:20 talking about his latest piece on the Jacksonville Jaguars and Urban Meyer that caught fire over the weekend. And the Titans are back on the practice field today, although Friday there was not a ton that we were able to learn considering how wet the football and the practice field was.
Yeah, it happened for the second straight day, but a little bit more rainy actually on Friday, Ramon. I know we weren't able to get out there because we had the show, and then, like you said, the weather kind of
took over a bit.
We had a little bit more rain than I expected this weekend in general, but yeah, I think it'll be nice today in terms of I think they'll be back outside with no elements. It doesn't look like we're going to have a lot of rain today, so fingers crossed we can see a bit more because now – again, you got all eyes on that right tackle position, bringing in another, offensive lineman over the weekend. But it's going to continue to be a battle because with Jamarco Jones gone, it's just back to square one.
It puts you behind the 8 ball. It was raining more in the city, too. I started to text you guys.
Oh, was it really?
Yeah, it was coming down really big in the city. So
today.
It was big time.
Yeah. So we'll see how today's practice go. But with that being said, right tackle position this week. Focal point for you guys or quarterbacks? Which one more important?
Let's do it coming up and get into the number one storyline of the opening weekend of Titans preseason football. What are you watching most closely as the Titans get ready to take on the Chicago Bears this Saturday? 615-737-1045, our number, live from Old Natchez Country Club, just south of downtown Nashville. Beautiful weather and a great day for golf. We dive into the Titans headlines heading into Titans Bears this weekend. Coming up right here on RKW.
Don't be surprised this week to see other jewelry store owners shopping at Genesis Diamonds. They'll be taking advantage of Genesis' most aggressive offer ever. All GIA diamond engagement rings marked down an extra 20% below Genesis' everyday price. That's right. The vault is open and Genesis is selling the finest handcrafted diamond rings at rock bottom prices now for a very limited time. That's GIA. The GIA is a world standard in diamond grading, certifying accuracy and documenting quality so you can buy with confidence. Every Genesis engagement ring is included in this event, from a half a carat up to 20 carat stones, all shapes too, rounds, radiance, pear shape, princess cut, emerald cuts, cushion cuts, ovals, whatever you want they have. There has never been a better time to get an extreme value price on a GI certified diamond, perfectly set in a gorgeous engagement ring. Hurry in for the best selection. It's Genesis GIA Diamond Extravaganza, where you can save an extra 20% on these rare, precious diamond rings. Now for a limited time, one per customer, please, exclusively at Genesis Diamonds, located in Green Hills and Cool Springs. See store for details.
Monday morning on Ramon, Kayla, and Will, and it's powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors. 615-737-1045 is the number if you want to join our opening discussion of the show. What is the one storyline you are most interested to follow this weekend as the Titans take on the Bears in preseason week 1? Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, Will Bowling with you. Haven't been able to react with you guys to the news last Thursday afternoon when Jamarco Jones was set adrift by the Tennessee Titans. Rare that you get a guy whose legacy is the amount of fights he got in at training camp for 2 years in a row. But that's what Jamarco Jones did. He didn't do a lot of blocking, but did do a lot of time in the injury room, in the training room, and did a lot of time trying to fight guys that are better and bigger than he is.
It's a tough situation he's put this team in. It's a bad look for him because word travels fast in this league. He may still get an opportunity somewhere because linemen are hard to come by these days, but just as far as the Titans go, you're behind the 8 ball because of NPF for the first 6 games. You have to bring in guys like Chris Hubbard. You also looking at George Fant, who ended up signing with the Houston Texans. Yes. And you're looking at yourself, say, we can piece this together as long as we possibly can until NPF gets back. Now you can't anymore because a guy that was backing up NPF is also on the out to his own undoing. And I think that's the biggest detriment of it all is, bro, you did this to yourself. You were, I don't even know if I want to call it super just selfish or how you want to look at it, but it's just a bad look, unprofessional. Let's use that one because selfish is, we're all selfish in some context, right? Unprofessional, I think, is where you take it even further because this is something that a lot of people would die and crawl over glass for to get this opportunity. We saw a guy, Kayla, I'm sure you saw him, be outside the Titans facility with a cardboard box trying to get a job.
Yep.
And here you go crapping on this opportunity. But it's early enough in preseason to where if it's Hub or if it's Brunskill or if
Chris
it's
Hubbard, you're mentioning.
Chris Hubbard, Hub, my bad.
Your former teammate.
Or if it's Justin Murray, who was just recently signed.
Right.
You get an opportunity to work out those kinks of trying to figure out what you are as an offensive line and understanding this offense too. So it sucks, y'all. I don't know if I've ever seen a guy do this. I've seen players quit in camp, retire, whatever you want to call it. I've seen guys just be bad athletes where they just get sent home. It's like, bro, this is not for you. This is way above your pay grade right now. I've never seen a guy fight his way out of a situation.
I'll be more harsh than you. I just think he's dumb in terms of the way that he had an opportunity pretty much given to him to at least start the training camp sessions with the ones majority of the time. He was coming off of that really bad injury last year where we all heard he's done a lot of work in the offseason to be ready to compete for this spot now at right tackle. And then you're pretty much from the start of training camp in some scuffles. Always. You've been sent to the pit. You know Mike Vrabel ain't messing around. Look, that's a former OSU guy, and Mike Vrabel's an OSU guy. Like Ohio State is what I'm using the terms as. You know that Mike Vrabel is not going to put up with crap, right?
Yeah. They knew each other in high school.
Yeah.
Mike Vrabel and Jamarco Jones.
So true.
So to really pee away that opportunity in the way that I just didn't want to say the other word, but
that was good.
I just think it's stupid.
Yeah,
in a league like this where there are few jobs that are starting jobs that are open, let alone roster spots.
Starting job.
And he just was like, "Yeah, can't control my temper. Sorry."
I'm with you.
It's really frustrating.
It was better said by you. It was stupid. It was better said. We can say that. Yeah, that was just pure stupidity is what it was. It was stupid.
Well, you can't control fighting and gambling habits in the Titans' offensive line room.
My goodness.
The right tackle with two Ohio State guys.
Making it hard for me to back, to really back them up, Will. God, dog.
You did mention Justin Murray, who was signed over the weekend, a guy who initially joined Denver as an undrafted free agent in 2016. Guy who has had lots of cups of coffee in lots of places, the NFL, so he should be ready for his punch card to get a free one here soon. Tampa, New Orleans, Cincinnati, Arizona, Buffalo, and Vegas. He was released by the Raiders on August 1st after spending the offseason with them. Had his longest stretch with Arizona from 2019 to 2021 when he played in 30 games with 20 starts. Another guy who's going to be on the outside looking in at this point. That's why he's available, but essentially at least another body in camp to give the Titans a little bit of competition. So now you've got an interesting battle between Chris Hubbard and Jalen Duncan, who I would imagine are the leaders in the clubhouse at the right tackle position. Is that fair to say at this point?
100%.
Okay.
And especially so, I would say this to the young guy, Jalen Duncan, man, go all out. Be over aggressive. I got a fine my second year because I was just trying to do too much to prove myself that I was going to believe. You guys need to believe in me. Not telling him to just be, a detriment to his career, but bro, go sell out. Finish every block, every little last shove you can get without being without getting a penalty. Do that because now is your opportunity. There is no better place for Jalen Duncan to be right now than to end this spot. He may have been third on the list when it came down to right tackle position this year in camp. You had a guy that was stupid enough to move out of the way for you, bro. There is your access to the 53-man roster right there. If in his first year, these first few plays and games, you just fight, man. Not like Jamarco, but like strain to finish each rep, strain to finish each day in practice. Like, there's no better opportunity. I don't know if I've ever seen it ever laid out like this for any individual, especially on the O-line. Like, guys understand what position you're getting yourself in whenever you're competing for one of these starting spots. Like you said, Caleb, one of 32 spots as far as right tackle in this league, and he could have honestly pushed NPF down some.
Yeah.
Like, I think the spot was Nicholas Petit-Frere's for the rest of the season when he comes back. But if Jamarco had played fine, he would have gave Vrabel and his staff a hard decision to make as far as, all right, Jamarco, we don't want to start you no more.
Right.
He ruined that.
Well, yeah, and I think Jalen Duncan, you're right. If there's a time like Jamarco Jones had to take advantage of the opportunity, if anything, learn from Jamarco Jones in terms of not doing this, but going all out to win a position. And I don't think he will. I think Chris Hubbard will probably win that spot, but we've seen linemen go down already.
That's true.
And you had mentioned like having depth, you just have to have it there no matter what, caliber of offensive lineman you are. You've got to have depth at that position. That's why they added a new body. But I think if Chris Hubbard stays healthy, I think he will probably win that job. But Jalen Duncan should take it upon himself to be like, I'm going to win the spot. That should be his mindset at least.
Absolutely.
615-737-1045. What is the one storyline you are watching most closely this weekend as the Titans start playing preseason football on Saturday against the Chicago Bears? We go to the phones. Vadius in Murfreesboro leads us off this morning. What's up, Vadius?
Hey, good morning, guys. How you doing?
Good morning.
The most interesting storyline that I'm looking at this weekend has to be the backup quarterback position. I know how we say everything, everything is good in practice and this and that, but you want to actually see it during the game. That's when you actually get a feel of who's going to get that backup role. Because I'm really rooting for Willis because I really want him to get it. I mean, Levis, he's just coming in, but he's been, that's been the topic of the camp is Willis. He's doing good. He's making strides. So I'm really interested in seeing that this weekend against the Chicago Bears.
No doubt.
Fair.
Love it. Appreciate the call. I think that's going to be where most people are going to go with this conversation is how far ahead is Malik Willis still of Will Levis, and is he at all ahead in game action? Because it's one thing for Malik to look better in practice and better in 7-on-7, and it feels like, guys, that his skill set fits 7-on-7 pretty well. When you're able to extend the play a little bit, get outside the pocket, you don't have a rush, obviously, that's coming at you.
Yep.
That was where we saw Malik really get a lot better last year in training camp. That never translated to the field, obviously, and we're not privy to what happened during the season when Malik was practicing with the team, obviously, because we get a look at them in training camp, and then that's essentially it, other than stretching and a couple routes on air for about 10 minutes in the regular season. So it does the good things, do the good things that are happening off the field translate on it for Malik is the big question.
I think the biggest point is that one right there you just made. That to me was bothersome watching Malik in the first game last year where he couldn't feel the pressure.
Sure.
It's two things that he has to do this week as Vadius, called in and give us his, most important points is, does he feel the pressure if he's going to scramble? Nothing's wrong with Malik getting outside the pocket whatsoever. Absolutely nothing. No, but when there are times that he has protection, will he get rid of the ball? Those two things right there. So, yeah, I'm with him. Malik has done his thing as far as I've seen in camp. So far, Kaylee's had some good days. All of them have had some ebbs and flow, right? But to see it transition over into Saturday is going to be the biggest test for him. And the quarterback shuffle will absolutely settle itself out too in those moments.
Yeah, and I think that's really the real competition is going to begin in that first preseason game, because whoever kind of has a little bit more momentum coming out of that game, because I'm sure they're going to split halves, I'm guessing.
They should.
They're probably going to take off with it. Or I would say if you have that momentum and you played a good first half, take that momentum and carry it throughout the rest of camp, because if Levis comes out and it clicks with him in an actual game, because we've seen progression in camp, then he could very well start to put himself out in front. But if Malik shows that progress, like you just mentioned, with not holding on to the ball too long in certain situations, and he seems like he's grown in a game situation, he could carry it. So this first preseason game is going to be a really good test for those two.
Huge.
Do you want to see Ryan Tannehill this weekend?
No.
Really?
No.
I do.
No.
I absolutely do.
Give me week 2. I'll take week 2.
In a new offense,
Yeah.
I want as many opportunities for him as possible, and I don't expect to see him. I would like to, though.
I think at some point I want to see him.
Sure. So I can see him in the first quarter.
Camp, or in
If he does, first quarter.
He's got to play a little bit of preseason. As slowly as this team has started in week 1 under Mike Vrabel, that's been a weird quirk and a weird weakness for the Tennessee Titans under Mike Vrabel.
That's true.
With a new offensive coordinator, a brand new offensive line, brand new wide receivers in, obviously DeAndre Hopkins. I want to see him on the field.
Yeah.
I don't expect to this
That's
weekend, but I want to see them on the field before preseason.
You've sold me, Will.
Probably that third game is when he'll play. They're home.
Yeah, well, they are home then, too.
I could see that being the case.
And then
But, you're going to have joint practices coming up, twice over the next few weeks. So, it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see.
And that's good work, too, right?
It is.
You definitely, Ryan Tannehill is going to be playing in a lot of those situations.
Yes, he will.
With joint practices.
Let's go to Joey in Cross Plains, 615-737-1045. On the storylines we are most interested to watch this weekend as the Titans start preseason football. What's up, Joey? Good morning.
Good morning, Kayla, Ramon, Will. So
Morning.
the biggest storyline that I am listening for the first preseason game is Kyle Phillips. I know last preseason we saw flashes of what he could do, and this whole offseason we've heard how he's put on the right amount of weight, or not amount of weight, but like more muscle and more weight to protect himself. So I really want to see if he can actually stay healthy and get some work in and to really help this team this year. Y'all have a blessed day.
Yeah.
You too, Joey.
He is up there of intriguing guys this camp, too. Like, the stuff that I've seen from him is Kyle Phillips type stuff, but it's a matter of seeing that stuff for 17 games.
Yeah, I like Kyle Phillips a lot. I liked him last year from the minute that he stepped on the field in rookie camp. But it is just about the injury. It's about, can you sustain a real season of hits and blows and being that size? Because he is a smaller size slot guy, where he didn't have a lot of the muscle last year coming into the league, coming out of UCLA. This year, definitely bulked up. You can see it, and Mike Vrabel's talked about it.
Good.
But that doesn't mean you're not going to sustain another injury. I have to pause for a second because I like everything I see from him. But because of just all the stuff last year, you got to just wait for a second and keep your powder dry, like Coach Mack says.
We just need to see his role be a chain mover.
Yep.
Because that's going to be a specialty.
And he can be.
And the guys that, the position he's going to be in, beat your one-on-ones.
Right.
If we need 3 yards, get us 4. Right. You know what I'm saying? That's all we're asking of Kyle this year, especially with the guys that you have in 1 and 2 as far as wide receivers on this team.
615-737-1045 is the number. Eric is in Nashville and up next with us this morning talking Titans. What's up, Eric?
Morning, Eric.
Rocky top of the morning, friends. What's up?
Not much.
What's up, Eric?
So, it's not necessarily a specific position or anything I'm looking for. Again, it's preseason. You're not going to see a whole lot, but all season, one of the things that Vrabel and company were talking about is we need to be faster. How different does this team look than last year? Not in terms of they're going to try to scheme up and, everything else. It's preseason, but does the team at least look like they've gotten faster? And I know the starters aren't going to play probably a whole lot, but does it look like a different team and a little bit of a, just does it look different? Does it have a different feel? Is it, or is it just going to be kind of like watching an offense? I'd rather go get a root canal. You know what I mean?
Wow. Goodness.
Hey, especially after the last time I got a root canal and they gave me that good knockout anesthesia stuff. That stuff worked good. I was singing in the chair.
Fair enough.
But anyway, that's all I've got. I just want to see, and also as a Tennessee fan, I just kind of want to see Darnell Wright play a little bit too for Bears. That's a personal bet. So y'all have a good rest of the day, good weekend.
Thank you, Eric. Good week. Eric's still coming off the weekend.
Gas is still going strong.
I'll say this too about the look at this team. There are certain coaches that you see around, and I watched Tim Kelly a little bit at practice. He has that don't give a care attitude, I feel like, which most good coaches have about them, not the ones that are super antsy and looking over their shoulder. That feel right there, though, lets you know, hey, I just need to go do my job. Whether or not this offense plays faster than it did last year, it seems like if for anything, his direction in which he calls plays and instructs the offense, you get a better feel for the operation of it while watching him at practice. Again, they have to execute the plays and move faster, the sets that they got to run and stuff like that. It will be fascinating to see what the confidence level of this team because of the new play caller and, truthfully, how he feels about himself, I feel like, this training camp. From what I've watched, from what I've seen from him, I'm excited to see what his poise is like on the sideline.
Yeah, and that was the biggest difference. Will, remember at the end of the season, Mike Vrabel saying, we want to get faster. And a lot of people took that as physically faster, like adding faster pieces or, quicker wide receiver. That's not really what he meant. It was just the pace of the offense, getting to the line quicker. That's more so changing up the verbiage a little to be able to do that. Mm-hmm. That's what he, I think, was brought in and has been doing. And you've got a sense from most players you talk to that it is like a lot more easy to understand. They feel like they're digesting the information a little bit better than under Todd Downing. I'm not going to speak for, Todd Downing, but I'm just saying this is what I see as a media member covering them, that they're kind of, relating to it a little bit better when it's actually put out on the field.
Man, they need to get faster in every sense of the word, too.
Yeah, they do.
And Mike Vrabel said that last year also and said it's rare when we step on the field that we are the faster football team. Mm-hmm. And it feels like that maybe is more of a long-term adjustment, and this team has looked inward and said, in the meantime, as we kind of tear this thing apart in order to put it back together younger and faster and better, in the meantime, the way we get faster is just by simply increasing the pace of our operation, which if you've been around Mike Vrabel for more than 30 seconds, you've probably heard him say the word operation 2 or 3 times on the practice field. 615-737-1045, our number. Coming up, more headlines around the NFL where the Dalvin Cook waiting game continues for some reason, and Ian Rappaport of NFL Network gives more clarity on what could be next for the former FSU and Minnesota Viking running back. That's next on RKW.
When it comes to large home repairs, a lot of the time we homeowners pretend we don't see the warning signs. We're afraid of what we're going to hear. This is especially true with waterproofing and foundation repair. It could be something big that needs to be fixed, or it could be a small problem now that'll become bigger later, or it could be nothing at all. Bottom line, we don't know, and we certainly don't want to be sold something we don't need. We need a peace of mind, and United Structural Systems is the company to give you that. They have over 25,000 100% satisfied residential customers, and here's how they've made that happen over time. When USS comes out to your house, you're getting problem solvers who provide a peace of mind to their customers, the homeowner. You're not getting someone who is worried about meeting a sales quota or upselling you the next big thing, but someone there to educate educate you and help you understand what's happening with your home. At USS, their only measure of success is how satisfied the homeowner is, not a closing ratio. Another reason they're so good at what they do. The attitude and culture is the reason they keep employees year after year. From project managers to customer service to production, some have been with USS for 25 plus years. That's one of the best things you can do. And when you've been with a company for 25 plus years, homeowners can trust a familiar face. Homeowners trust USS. Keeping homes dry and stable. They guarantee the best, I promise you. And they're serving Middle Tennessee, Southern Kentucky, Western Kentucky, Northern Alabama. You can reach out to them at USSTN.com or call them 615-488-7855.
Monday morning, off and running on RKW, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors. Coming up in 15 minutes, former Oregon Duck, now SiriusXM and Fox Sports' Geoff Schwartz will stop by. Just a little bit to talk about with his Oregon Ducks, as we'll talk Pac-12 and Big Ten mergers that are happening in college sports. 615-737-1045 is our number. And free agent running back Dalvin Cook, who visited the Jets during the final weekend of July, is still a free agent. I cannot for the life of me understand why this move hasn't already happened, because it feels like it's just the one thing everyone's waiting on happening in the NFL. Why is Dalvin Cook not a Jet yet?
I would probably guess finances of it. Probably want to take some of the wear and tear off his body into training camp also. He's a running back, so he's been a good pass protector in the backfield. Learning the offense will be so second nature to him that I don't think he's overly rushed, and the terms of it have to be correct too. That's the one thing I see as to why the holdup of it all. And, of course, they just played in the Hall of Fame game as far as the Jets go. That's more work for him as a player. Again, most players hate the setup of the Hall of Fame game because there's more practices, more time against one another, and it just by the third week in camp, you're just zombie mode.
Yeah.
So he's probably just waiting till the 9th hour to be like, all right, I'm ready now.
Maybe he just doesn't want to be on Hard Knocks. He's like, I'm just going to wait till Hard Knocks is over, right? In all seriousness, though, it does take a while to get these deals done, like Ramon said. And I think specifically we've seen everything happen with the Jets in a little bit more slow motion this offseason. Even getting Aaron Rodgers, that was definitely a little longer wait than maybe expected just with the deals that they had to work out with Green Bay. But I do believe he'll probably land there. But it is a little bit fascinating considering I thought he'd be the first running back to go off the board, just considering the type of back he is. He's been a little injured, but when you look at his resume, you can't argue with all the guys that were out there that he's not one of the more successful backs right now.
Right. And the thing, too, I think why we're closer to seeing his signing, too, reports coming out, I think, yesterday or last night, is the Patriots are very interested in Ezekiel Elliott.
That's right. Yep. I forgot about that. Went on a visit.
Yep. Business moves to the next one, and it looked like the Patriots understand they're not going to get him.
Yep.
Yeah, and I think Dalvin Cook has so much more value than Zeke does. I
do, too.
Zeke is much more one-dimensional than Dalvin Cook is.
Especially now in his career, right?
Yeah. It's interesting with Zeke, man. Like that playoff run for Ohio State was crazy enough for him specifically that, like, what is Ezekiel Elliott's NFL career without Ohio State making that run?
Man.
Because I feel like all we talk about with Zeke is he wears crop tops and shows his abs, and he was really good for a couple months for Ohio State.
Yeah.
Like, we put Zeke in a conversation of college running backs that he has no business being in.
Really? I never actually paid attention to because all I've ever watched was just 100%. The legend of Ezekiel.
Oh, 100%.
Is that what it was?
I think
just
so,
a flash real quick towards the end part of his career?
He had a very good career. Don't get me wrong. But
all right.
The Saquon Barkleys of the world have a much better claim on being that dude.
Yeah.
I would actually kind of agree with you, Will. I covered him during that championship run. And look, it was Ezekiel madness. Like, he was that good. He was leaping over dudes. He looked the part. He definitely helped them win a national championship. However, the minute he was drafted, it was almost like, I don't want to say he got, like, comfortable, but in a way, once he got that big deal and he got drafted, he kind of settled in, and I just don't feel like he made himself better year after year. And I know that's hard sometimes when you're running back. You get older every year, but he was dealing with off-the-field issues sometimes. I just don't think he took full advantage of his young, really good years in the NFL. He was successful, but I think he could have continued to build on that a little. I just think the off-the-field issues got in the way a little. I think the star power of Dallas maybe got in the way a little, because that's what happens when you come off a career like Ohio State and you win a natty and your head is like up here.
The star definitely took him there, meaning the Cowboy brand. I think it definitely took him over the top. I thought Zeke maximized as much as he possibly could for a running back. I'm actually just shocked that Jerry Jones is got away from Zeke as fast and as quick as he did, though, too. He hit the threshold of what running backs start to taper off. I thought it was fascinating that even he wasn't bulletproof against that.
He has played for like the 2 Death Stars. Like he played for Dallas and Ohio State.
Yeah.
Like, is there anyone else? Who else in the NFL played for 2 more like national / you either love them or hate them brands?
Eddie
LeBron
George.
James did. He played for Ohio State and Dallas Cowboys, didn't he?
LeBron James.
Didn't Eddie retire?
know where you were going with that.
No, because he always has some Ohio State stuff, and he didn't go there.
I was so confused.
I know, I
And
was
he's a
like,
Cowboys
what?
fan.
Didn't Eddie go
that's
to
fair.
Dallas? Eddie
Yeah,
George?
kind
Eddie
of.
did
he
go,
was.
yeah.
He put on the helmet, but
Technically, he did.
yeah.
Technically,
But
he
no, I
did.
get what you're saying.
Who else played for a very polarizing brand, I guess?
I mean, Mac Jones going from Alabama to the New England Patriots is
True.
about as bad as it gets.
So who are the brands then? Cowboys, Patriots. Let's talk about that first. Who are the teams?
The big brands,
Giants,
Packers.
Yep.
Packers.
I would put the Niners probably in there too, but it's not one that you like. The Niners, though, I don't feel like are a team that people hate.
They're not.
Like I love
agree.
the Niners. I love watching them play. Kyle Shanahan's a likable guy.
Yeah.
Like they've got, I think, the best jerseys in football, which I know doesn't really matter. But I would say in terms of like unlikable teams in the NFL, it's got to be Patriots, Cowboys, than everyone else.
Philly in that conversation.
You kind of they haven't been good enough.
Could be, yeah.
They haven't been good
Sammy
enough until
Kincaid's
really
like, yeah.
now. But again, I feel like a lot of people like Nick Sirianni.
Yeah, I like Nick Sirianni.
Right. So, like, I don't know. I mean, plus the Cowboys, I mean, there's a special amount of hate that we reserve just for that team.
Right.
It is.
And Jerry keeps it going. Jerry Jones keeps that going because he's
Right.
just, as long as he's there too, he's going to
Right.
keep on being that guy.
I mean, in this town, Baltimore and Pittsburgh.
That's what I was
Right.
going
If you're
to
going
say.
to talk
Right.
about
I
teams
knew
everyone
those
hates.
two were going to be popping up, but
Yeah.
Baltimore, especially Baltimore here for me. Screw them.
615-737-1045 is our number. That's
There we
right.
go.
Coming up, Geoff Schwartz is a man with lots of experience in the Pac-12, coming from a UCLA family and playing for Oregon a few days after now the change for Oregon to the Big Ten and all of the adjustments again to the Pac-12 moving forward. What is the feeling now about 48 hours later from Geoff Schwartz's perspective? We'll get his thoughts on that, as well as the rivalries that may or may not continue, that will have to continue across conference lines moving forward. As Hour 2 begins, and we broadcast live from the 104.5 The Zone Summer Golf Classic, live from Old Natchez Country Club this morning. It's RKW 104.5 The Zone.
It's Ramon Falston, Kayla Anderson for Window Nation. And y'all know it's here. We're feeling it a little bit right now,
Oh, yeah,
Kayla,
we
but we're
are.
outside and
But it's sticky.
It is sticky. It is. And that's that heat, humidity, and sweaty temps right now. The high temps are forcing your AC into overdrive, leading to sky-high energy bills. Y'all, we have a solution for you. It's new windows from our friends at Window Nation, where you can save thousands today with no money down, no payments, and pay no interest for 2 full years. Plus, get 50% off all style windows from Bose, Bays, Double Hung, any style you need. So protect and increase the value of your home today by calling 866-90Nation or going online to windownation.com.
You were talking about those energy bills as we continue to keep the AC blasting inside our homes or businesses. You can save up to 30% on your energy bills. And if you're wondering about just the experience of this company, Average Installer has over 16 years of experience with over 20,000 windows installed. This is definitely the place that you want to get your windows. Maybe you're wondering, how do I recognize if I need new windows? You see condensation in there, cracked. You got mold in there. That is no good. You need to get new windows. So go ahead and call our friends at Window Nation, 866-90Nation, or simply go online to windownation.com.
What's going on? Good morning from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. I'm Robert Walsh. Last week, Titans signed offensive lineman Justin Murray, weighing in at 315 pounds, standing at 6'3", to help bolster the right side of the offensive line, hurt by the Petit Frere suspension and the Jamarco Jones release. He's spent about 5 years in the NFL with 37 games played, 20 starts to his name. He only had one offensive snap last year, but had 90 in 2021 and 903 career snaps at right tackle. So it looks like he's going to be thrown into the fire early to see a number of snaps against Chicago on Saturday. That game is at noon. Some NFL hits from over the weekend. The Panthers signed pass rusher Justin Houston, and former Titans were at a premium as Zach Cunningham was signed by the Eagles and Deshaun Hand was signed by the Dolphins. Now sending you back down to Old Natchez Country Club in Franklin for the 104.5 The Zone's 2023 Summer Golf Classic. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Monday morning continues into hour number 2, starting off a new week and a Titans game week right here on 104.5 The Zone. Welcome into RKW, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors. When trust matters, count on All Four Seasons Garage Doors in Nashville. Professional garage door installation and repair from a locally owned and family-run business. Visit allfourseasonsgarages.com/Nashville. Live from Old Natchez Country Club this morning, the 104.5 The Zone Summer Golf Classic gets started just a little bit later this morning. We've got Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, Robert Walsh back in our 104.5 The Zone studios. I'm Will Bowling as we talk some Pac-12 and Big Ten realignment this morning.
Yeah, a lot went on over the last, 36 hours or 72 hours over the weekend. Goodness gracious, Friday happened, and boy, everybody just had their news dump and just breaking news out of the Pac-12. It was insane.
Yeah, my group texts have not been fun this weekend.
I haven't.
But what do you think? You think I'm happy right now?
No.
Nah.
Well, let's go to the phones where 8-year NFL veteran and former Oregon Duck Geoff Schwartz, now on SiriusXM, Fox Sports, joins us this morning. Geoff, how are you, man?
I'm doing good. It's been interesting. I'll tell you that. It went from 0 to about 1,000 in like 72 hours, and it is weird, man. Like I've seen the Big Ten Network tweet out a picture of Austin Stadium, welcome to it. I'm like, oh, that's weird. It's not gonna ever feel right, which is sort of, I think a lot of us are just overwhelmed by it, I think, a little bit, and just the idea of Oregon, Washington, UCLA, and USC, they're not Big Ten schools. Come on. Maybe UCLA feels a little bit that way. Maybe USC a little bit, big city, big presence. But it doesn't feel, I don't feel like Big Ten schools, man. And it's going to be weird when it eventually happens in a year.
Geoff Schwartz, our guest this morning on RKW. And Geoff, with how quickly this happened on Friday, I'm curious, as the weekend has now wrapped up and you start a new week and can process this thing a little bit more, has the feeling changed at all, or is it still kind of the same reaction you had initially when this thing broke on Friday morning?
I'm relieved it's over, I'll tell you that. Here's the thing. So when UCLA and USC left, it was one tweet, right? John Wilner's boom, done, tweet, over. They're leaving. When Oklahoma and Texas left for the SEC, it broke at SEC Media Day, but it was about a week away from being finalized. It was just breaking, Texas and Oklahoma leaving for the SEC, done, moved on. Pac-12 has been going through this for nearly a year now, right? If you recall, right after UCLA and USC left, the commissioner opened up negotiations for for the media rights with ESPN and Fox. That was a month. That was a month window. As soon as that window was over, then they went and took it out publicly. And in that time, right when it happened, the Big Ten jumped ahead of the Pac-12 and took basically the deal that ESPN was offering the Pac-12. And since that moment, all we've done, especially this offseason since basketball ended, was talk about the TV deal, the TV deal, the TV deal, the TV deal. And before that, no one cared, right? No one was like, oh, what are you getting for the TV deal this year, guys? No one ever talked about it, right? And so it's been this constant, every week, someone has a leak. Someone has an idea of what's going to happen. And this school's out, and this school's out, and this network's out, this network's out. This school might be leaving. This school might be leaving. And it's just a nonstop, energy-sucking cycle of this news coming out. And I do Pac-12 radio, and I've spent way too. I mean, there are times when I've come on the show and I've told my co-host or anyone I'm hosting with, we're not talking about this today. Anything but conference realignment, anything but TV numbers and TV networks, because it's just not something that's exciting to talk about. And so I think the whole process of this has made me dislike it even worse, even more, because if it had just happened, I would have been like, all right, well, cool, Oregon's gone, Washington's gone, whatevs. But it's been a year of this now, and it finally came to an end this weekend.
Geoff, that's why I wanted to go. We've heard Kayla. Kayla's a Coug, also Washington State
I know,
alum.
it sucks for Washington State, very quickly, Washington and Oregon State did nothing wrong here, and they're getting screwed, right?
Yep.
This is sort of the feeling I had with Oregon. We're in Eugene. It's not our fault. We can't help it that we're in Eugene. That's just where the school is. Washington State and Oregon State, they happen to be in smaller cities. That's just part of life. Are you telling me that Manhattan, Kansas, Ames, Iowa, wherever the heck Purdue is located, I have to learn that, obviously. West Lafayette, Indiana, right?
Yep.
I think I have that right. It's not the fault of Oregon State and Washington State that they're in smaller markets. It doesn't mean their fans don't care. It doesn't mean that they're not passionate about sports, and they're getting screwed because of it, right? It's not their fault. I mean, same with the Oregon thing. If Oregon was even if we were in Portland, it'd be better. If we were in the Bay Area, we get as much money and more than UCLA. No one I was about to cuss. No one cares about UCLA in Los Angeles. My parents are Bruno alums. UCLA is so indifferent to this. They do not care whatsoever. They just dragged along with USC because they're in Los Angeles, right? So it's unfair to those schools that did nothing wrong here, that have supported sports, that have given, Washington the last couple of years, obviously with what Mike Leach did there, and they're getting screwed because of it, and that's just a fallout of conference realignment. I don't like it. I don't know ill will to either of those schools, and I hate Washington. If they didn't go, I would be fine with it. But nonetheless, Washington had to come along as well, and that's the sticky part about all of this is just schools are getting left behind, and it's not their fault. Again, it's where you live, which is so silly to me because TV numbers have shown that people watch certain schools. It doesn't matter where they're located.
Geoff Schwartz with us this morning talking about the Pac-12. And Geoff, just to go to that question, it's hard for me to swallow what's happening with the Pac-12 too, because I grew up in that era of where Oregon single-handedly changed the way teams dress up with the uniforms and just the Nike apparel and just all things that the NFL is doing. Oregon was doing it years ago, and there was always an attraction. Heck, I was always just like, man, Oregon be a cool place to go to school at. All of those things, or whether it's USC or, just any other school on the West Coast. Did you ever imagine that the biggest handicap to your conference, the Pac-10, Pac-12, would be your location? Just simply because football reigns supreme in the Midwest to all the way to the East Coast and down south?
Well, I don't know if that's as simple as just saying that, fans didn't care as much of the West Coast, which is certainly true. We're not here because of that, I don't think. We're here for many mistakes along the way that led to this. There's a way to get fans to care, and that's to be good, right? And to actually try. USC, USC in this whole thing. It's so funny how their fans and their staff have been, and like at least behind the scenes, the Pac-12 didn't support us enough. I'm like, well, how about you be good at football? Like, how about you cared, before Mike Bohn got there, who obviously has been let go. They didn't care about winning after Pete Carroll left. They said they cared, but they hired bad coaches, right? They didn't put the resources needed into football. And now all of a sudden they're like, Pac-12 didn't care about us. I'm like, you didn't care about yourselves either, right? And so if the schools out west treated sports like Oregon treated sports, we would not be in this situation, right? But presidents in Pac-12 schools, I don't fault them for this. This is the truth, right? They're research universities. They care about the academic status of the school. They care about things that are not directly tied to athletics. And the thing that's so interesting about this move is that sort of that, right? Like if you're Arizona State, you're giant research schools, right? And your budget as a president, the athletic department is not a big budget, right? It's not what you really do as a president, but all the pushback you get from anyone associated to the school is about the sports budget, right? It's about your football program. It's not about what's happening in the math department or the research at your medical school, right? It's about what's happening about football. And so, it's not really that no one cares, but that there's not as much support as other regions of the country. It's that the schools themselves didn't try to win at a level that we see in the South. And I think that the best example for this is sort of what happened during COVID. And again, I don't fault the Pac-12 for doing what they did, but other regions of the country said, the presidents of the school said, yeah, we're still playing football, right? And out west, they said, you know what, no, we're going to worry about campus safety first. We're going to worry about figuring out what's happening with the virus. We're going to figure out, what the best protocol of safety, and we're going to stop football. We're going to stop sports right now. And again, I'm not faulting anyone in this, and we're not getting discussed about COVID, but that's the difference, right? Is that school presidents in other regions like, screw it, we're going for football, we're playing. And other regions said, you know what, we're going to take a step back and assess before. And that's just sort of the president's view of sports. And I think that hindered the development of what could have been out west. The Pac-12 has been around since 1915. The 4 members that started in 1915, and it's still going to be around. I mean, they're still going to have a Pac-12, I would imagine, of some conglomeration of schools, but it's no longer what it was.
And Geoff Schwartz joining us now. Geoff, this is interesting to me because you said there might be a remaining Pac-12 of some sort. It's never going to be the same, obviously. The remaining right now, my Washington State Cougars, you've got Oregon State, Cal and Stanford. What do you see that conference, if they do stay the Pac-12, addition-wise being?
Well, this is an interesting point, right? If you're the Mountain West, and a lot of the Mountain West schools, look up at the Pac-12, and they want thumb their nose in the Pac-12. I get all that, right? Like they're kind of whenever they play a Pac-12 school, all the kids that play football, at San Jose State wanted to go to Cal and Stanford but couldn't get in, and didn't get scholarships. Everyone played at Fresno State, wanted to play at USC. So they always kind of try to beat the Pac-12, right? They're in a position of power right now because they have a conference. Now their conference doesn't get paid as much as the Pac-12, and they don't have an automatic bowl qualifier right now. So if you're the Mountain West, you just say, you know what, we're basically going to lose our conference, right? We're not going to call the Mountain West anymore. We're all going to go to the Pac-12. And we're going to be Pac-12 schools. And, the Pac-12 still has an automatic qualifier for now. They still have the prestige of the Pac-12. They still have the branding, all those things. And do they just join the Pac-12? Does the Pac-12, let's talk about, the AAC schools and trying to get other schools around the country to form a giant, coast-to-coast conference with some stragglers around other group of fives. But I don't know what the answer is. I mean, I think Stanford – Cal, Stanford's interesting because everyone says they don't care. I think they do care about sports and football, but do they go independent? Is there a thirst for independence with Stanford? I don't know how they would schedule because all other independent schools are going to conferences. Who are they going to schedule in week 8 of the regular season? Right, everyone's playing conference football. I'm very curious what happens. I don't trust the Pac-12 to get it right. I don't know why anyone would because they they haven't gotten it right so far. And I don't know what the next step is going to be. I'm curious to find out, but I'm also just ready for it to be over. So, like, whatever we do, can we just do this and move it along? The worst part about all of this, guys, I know you're in Nashville and you're not, Kayla knows, but, like, the Pac-12 is going to be really good this year. It's our best football we've had by far since 2012, but maybe ever. I don't think ever in the past. We've had years when, like, 2 teams think they might make a playoff or BCS Bowl, right? There's 5 teams, really 4, that legitimately I think have a chance to be a playoff team. I don't think they're going to be because the schedule stinks. But, like, there's 4 teams, you look at them, you're like, okay, yeah, I can see Utah. I can see Washington. I can see Oregon. I can see USC in a playoff. And we're talking about, really a year from now, where these schools are going to play. And for me, who covers the conference, it stinks. I spend way too much time talking about TV numbers instead of the quarterbacks we have in our conference.
Geoff Schwartz, our guest this morning here on Ramon, Kayla, and Will. Geoff, do you expect Oregon State, and the Apple Cup to still be played? What priorities do you think these teams will make when it comes to keeping some of these rivalries still going?
Well, I think there's no chance they get played.
Really?
That's sad.
Yeah, I know people are saying the right words, but if you go to there's talking about like a 10-game conference slate in the Big Ten. You're just gonna play Portland State and and San Jose State in the non-conference. You're not gonna play your rival. That it doesn't make. If these moves are made on business, that doesn't make any sense, right? To play a school that really wants to beat you in a non-conference game, like that. I just don't see that happening. I wish. I mean, it's again, the Civil War has been played for over 100 years. I want to say.
Yeah.
And it's just after this year, it's done. It's the end of it. And it's been played since the first game was in 1894 was the first game in this matchup in the Civil War, 1894, and it's just going to be done like that. The last game this year is in Eugene. Hopefully they don't run us over like last year, and that's the end of it, right? The Apple Cup, it's same weekend this year. It's going to be in Seattle, and that's the end of it. I know they said the right thing. They've said, like, yeah, we're going to keep it going, but if you're making moves based off of business, essentially, which you are, these are businesses, then it doesn't make any business sense to play these games anymore.
Geoff, final one from me. What the heck happens with the Rose Bowl now? The bowl game that essentially held up years of progress when it came to the college football playoff and years of change just because they wanted to stay in their time slot and stay the way that they have been constructed for a long time. What in the world do they do now?
So this is an interesting thing about the Rose Bowl. The Rose Bowl is already dead. Like, I don't think people realize this. It's already gone. So last year was the last year of a traditional Pac-12 Big Ten Rose Bowl because next year, this season, it's a CFP semifinal game, and then next year when we expand to 12, it becomes a permanent playoff site. So it's already done. This didn't kill it. So last year we had Utah, the Pac-12 champion, and Penn State was really the third place team. So I don't know if we want to call that traditional Rose Bowl, but that's
right.
That was, it still is, and it's Big Ten and Pac-12. But the traditional Rose Bowl is over because of the playoffs. It's not because of this. And I think it's one point that people have mentioned that it's already done. It ain't going to happen. It's not because of this. But you can still use the Rose Bowl for a Big Ten championship game every now and then. There's the options sort of open up to using the Rose Bowl for other things like that. And having sort of the tie there. It would be a pretty big haul, in a week to send everyone to Los Angeles if 2 Midwest teams are playing in the Big Ten championship game. But if Oregon or USC is in it, playing the Rose Bowl would be awesome. It would be odd, I think, to see a Big Ten championship game there. But that game is already over and has nothing to do with the conference realignment.
And Geoff, really quick from me, we all talk about football. That's great, but this is bigger than football. This is about all the other sports that come into play now when you've got Arizona State, Colorado, who had little success in the Pac-12, might I add, now in the Big 12, and obviously Oregon, UCLA, USC. those schools now in the Big Ten. The competition is different on all levels for these other teams. Like, do you feel like some of these schools will get lost in the mix with those other sports?
Yeah, it's funny. The whole Pac-12, I think, roots against USC just because they're USC. I think like everyone's rooting against Colorado this year.
Right?
It's kind of funny. Some of the videos they put out so far, by the way, like watch the offensive defensive lines. Don't watch the quarterback. It's going to be a wreck this year. They can't block anybody. Nonetheless, yeah. So we had seen a slight change in recruiting on the Olympic sports side since UCLA and USC announced they're going to the Big Ten. We saw less players commit to those schools, actually more like baseball players committing to Oregon State because there's just, they want to stay out west. And now they're just not. It's the whole landscape is changing. We saw, I think, a bunch of softball players, a couple of Oregon too, voice their displeasure about this. And you could make a case you add Stanford and Cal to the Big Ten, and you just almost play your Olympic sports on the West Coast. You maybe make one trip over a month out east and just kind of play everyone all at once. Like they're not forgot something because football's fine. Football's going to fly 4 or 5 times a year, chartered plane, fly in, fly out. Basketball probably okay, but the Olympic sports are going commercially. They're going to fly from Eugene to Salt Lake City to O'Hare. Or Eugene to Denver, all the way out to Newark. Like, it's going to take some time to figure out how to do the Olympic sports, and it's not fair to them. But these decisions only get made about football too, so it's not a surprise we're here. But they're not. These decisions aren't made because of looking out for Olympic sports.
Yep. Geoff Schwartz has been our guest, SiriusXM, Fox Sports, former Oregon Duck, bringing it with us this morning. A great insight, Geoff. Thanks so much.
Thank you, guys. Take care.
Thanks, Geoff.
Yes, sir. There's Geoff Schwartz with us this morning here on RKW. We'll react to some of that as the show continues, but we get back into the NFL headlines coming up next, where one of the top quarterbacks from this past draft class is ready to officially make his debut. That's next on Ramon, Kayla, and Will. Hey, it's Will Bowling. Are you looking to keep your home in great shape year-round? Well, sign up for a League Company home maintenance plan for just $12 a month. And this is a great deal because plan members receive 4 service visits a year from the League Company team of experts. You get a heating system tune-up, an air conditioning tune-up, an electrical inspection, and a detailed plumbing inspection, too. That's 4 annual visits, and all you got to do is pay $12 a month. League Company, they got help for all 4 seasons for you. And for the very best in-home service, just call League Company today at 615-567-1000, or you can visit them online at leaguecompany.com. Search for the home maintenance plan to join their membership, and do what I do. Trust the folks who have been trusted for nearly 80 years for good reason. 615-567-1000. Remember that number or visit them online at leaguecompany.com. That's League Company, all you need. Continuing your Monday morning on RKW, we're powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors as the golfers get loose. Putting greens are filling up. We've got a driving range full of early risers.
Early risers.
Getting the worm and losing golf balls before noon. Always a good thing.
I saw one almost get away from somebody on concrete. I was like, you know what? That's foreshadowing right there.
Cart path.
Yep.
Right.
My longest drives ever is because I've just smoked one down the cart path, and you get about 5 or 6 bounces.
Yeah.
Just get rolling.
Oh, you count that too?
Oh, absolutely, you count that.
Oh, yeah.
You count anything.
Maybe you
It's,
wouldn't,
it's in front of you, so
What the hell?
of course you do. Yeah.
Yeah.
Honestly, if you're gonna miss, at least miss on the cart path. You get literally 75 extra yards sometimes.
Do you still use that ball, or does it get scuffed up?
Of course you still use that ball.
You still do?
Yeah, of
I
course.
didn't know if you were particular about your balls or not, as far as them being scuffed up.
No,
Okay.
I don't see any scenario of that.
When are you playing at some point, Moan?
Me? Heck,
I
Kayla,
really want to be there for it. I just want to ride.
I've been getting pressed lately about signing up for golf. Yeah, I have.
I thought you meant I've been getting press lately.
No.
This just
that's
in.
just me. I'm just saying this as far as if I'm going out there, I need at least one instruction. I've only gotten instructions from people on the golf course. Oh, look, you just got to do it. Man, y'all are setting me up for failure, man.
Yeah.
And this doggone driver is too short for me. I need my own putter.
I feel that.
So it's gonna be I'm up against a lot, and I'm making a lot of excuses right now.
You
Okay,
are.
I can admit that. I can admit that. I'm making a lot of excuses. Give me one session with a golf pro.
Okay.
Let me get some
One
fitted
session?
clubs. Yeah, that's all I need.
Just one.
Oh.
You do what you want when you
You
pop
need more
it.
than one
that.
session
Because
with
at
a
this
golf
point, I'm gonna learn the rest on the course. As far as my mess ups, but I just can't be told by the likes of Ron Slay and Brent Daugherty, no, this is what you're supposed to be doing. Or my former teammates that was just, look, you just hold it, you swing, you keep your head down. That sounds easy to you because you've done these things. Golf is one of those things that you people tell you, hey man, nah. Just come out here with us. We're going to pick the best ball, and next thing you know, they're in the side group chat talking about how sucky you are, and you'll never be invited back. So that's just what I'm dealing with right now, man.
Well, Will took lessons, and you've
did.
taken a couple. I
Currently
feel like.
still I've
Yeah.
taken a lot of lessons.
oh, you
need
one
to
of
get
those types, huh?
connected. Well, you need to get connected at least a couple lessons with his guy. I
You
feel
see
like.
me, you see me
he's-
playing
he
them down?
knows
What?
his stuff.
Yes.
Over the last 2 years, I think I've taken 9 or 10, maybe more than that, honestly. Because I never touched a golf club as a kid.
Really?
Ever. I started, it was 2 summers ago. So I'm right at exactly 2 years of playing golf. I told you the other day, I broke 50 for the first time for 9,
Right.
a month ago. And then I did not get close to that the last time because I got cocky. So I don't know. It kind of comes in waves. You get better, and then you learn a new miss after you get better and fix your old miss. Then you have to address a new miss, and it's a whole thing. It's fun.
You get humbled quickly in golf.
You do.
You do?
That's right.
My neighbor, I was talking to him yesterday. We were sitting back on my back porch, and he was just he knew we were having this event because he had a buddy coming along. I was like, you golf? He's like, man, when I was younger, I used to golf. Well, I was like, what'd you shoot? He's like, about an 82.
Yeah, that's insane.
Oh my
I was like-
gosh.
It's very
I
good.
was like, bro, you just said that like it's normal.
Most people don't break 100.
Really?
The majority of people, that's a big milestone. And I imagine most of the people here who are dedicated enough on a Monday morning to play with us are 100 and below.
Yeah.
But the average human being, 100 is a good milestone for people.
He's from Florida originally,
There you
and
go.
he just said, well,
That's all
that's
you do.
probably all he did was just golf,
Yep.
too. Well, one of the things he did mainly.
I am making my debut in a 104.5 The Zone golf tournament today, though.
Let's
This is my
go.
first time ever playing. Playing at 1 o'clock. Got some friends I'm playing with.
Cool.
We're
Nice.
trying to secure a ringer last minute, like Brent and Slade did with Brett Kern a couple years back.
Sure.
Here at this golf course, actually. This was the place where they got that famed second place trophy, I think.
I just saw.
Oh, it is.
I saw the new trophies in there.
Really?
Yep.
Pretty nice.
And all of them had not Brent, not Ron. Is all they had on.
We're already stirring it up this morning. I like it.
Look at my boy down there in the J zone, man. That's what I'm talking about. The golf game, fashion, has gotten so
It's come
much
a long
better.
way.
Yeah, it has.
Tony Finau is one of the guys.
Now, won't you be now? Yeah, I love that
You done?
drop. That was it. Anytime you
Masters
say
season again.
Tony V as in Vitello or Tony Fee, I have to say that, Ryan. Well, it's like automatic at this point. You get it. You know ball.
I unfortunately get it. So the number 1 overall pick is set to make his debut. Bryce Young has continued to take first-team reps, and I love that Frank Reich in Carolina has not shied away from just giving Bryce Young the number 1 reps and the starting quarterback job. What's Andy Dalton going to do? Enter the transfer portal? Guy's got a contract. I hate when coaches do this of, well, we're going to have an open competition, see what happens there. And by all accounts, it sounds like C.J. Stroud is starting to take over the number 1 job in Houston from Davis Mills. Frank Reich not worried about his backup entering the transfer portal, going ahead and saying that, yes, Bryce Young will get ready to make his debut and will play in the team's preseason opener against the New York Jets. So stop the presses. Bryce Young versus Zach Wilson this weekend as the Panthers take on the Jets.
Should be good. That should be real. But I'm with you on that,
Bryce
though,
Young
too.
goes for the Panthers, though.
I knew that one.
Took me a second.
What I was going to say, though, is this. Like, I'm with you as far as that goes. Like, if the guys are playing, just say that. Like, there's not much – there are not many secrets about preseason. We understand it's going to be a generic game plan. You want to see your guys perform and make it out healthy. Like, if it's Bryce Young, yeah. Last week when it was Zach Wilson in the Hall of Fame game, that's the same thing I was thinking then. It's just like, we know it's going to be him. Give him the lion's share of the first half reps. Let us see what he looks like. And truthfully, as much as we talk about Zach Wilson, he looked good.
Yeah, he did. He
fine.
definitely moved the offense.
Like 3
a
or
bit,
5,
right?
I thought he looked good, Will. I thought he was good.
When it comes to that kind of thing, like quarterbacks, young quarterbacks, you starting them, not starting them, in those situations in Texas and with Carolina, it's to me a no-brainer. Unless they're just that bad, which they shouldn't be when they're that highly picked in the first round, you're going to start those guys, right? Because what is it your benefit not to start those guys? You want to get them going. You want they want to be the guy. You need them to be the guy. So you pretty much need to give them all the reps and have them start the season, period. Yeah. Like, there's no need to have Andy Dalton come in. And I know Davis Mills has done some things for Houston in the past, but that's not your future.
No, it's not. It's not. Again, the best way for players to get better is simply by having reps. And whether they're good or bad reps, you need them. And that's where, as far as the fan take goes, and even with us, a guy have a bad day at the office. It's just that. Like, it's just that one day in that one moment. You either getting better from it or you will stay the same. And if you stay the same in this business, you'll be fired.
615-737-1045, the number. We give you an update from Indianapolis Colts camp coming up, where Jim Irsay is willing to move a whale from one ocean to another, but he is unwilling to pay his running back. Yet he does have a new running back in Indy. News on Friday afternoon. We'll get to around the AFC South. Coming up as we continue from Old Natchez Country Club this morning, the 104.5 The Zone Summer Golf Classic off and running this morning right here on RKW. Continuing your Monday morning on RKW, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors. We are 15 minutes away from the opening tee time at the 104.5 The Zone Summer Golf Classic. I am thinking motivational thoughts because I will be leading these guys with ferocity into the black onto the course here in a minute. So I've been tasked with giving the pep talk.
Yeah. Let's go, Will.
Yeah, I've got some cold brew coffee that's been handed to me. We had to confirm that there was 0% alcohol in this.
Although that would have made our show much more fun.
Yeah, it would have definitely opened us up a little bit more.
It does look cool.
A little bit more.
Lots of good goodies out here. That's the thing when we're on site somewhere. We get all the goodies that come along with it.
Yeah, we do. And I'll be honest, I'm the biggest agitator when it comes down to us getting our just due when we're out in public.
Yeah.
Like Dave Elliott, our esteemed salesman, just hit us with food and coffee's coming, Ramon. I was like, hey, it should be standard out here, okay?
You should have seen Kayla the first time I did a show with Ramon. It was just the two of us.
Oh,
it was at Greystone a couple years ago.
It was.
And Dave literally comes in and brings like a $4.99 little box of muffins from like a local grocery store and just throws it at Ramon and goes, "Happy now?"
No, I wasn't.
I was going to say,
You were
did he
not
even
happy
eat
then.
the
I didn't even
muffins?
touch it.
Right?
Because I'm all about fairness, man. We'll come out here for the afternoon, mid-mornings, and stuff like that. They got food trucks out here, spirited beverages, maybe not. We
need to give the 104.5 The Zone promo team credit because there are Hardee's breakfast sandwiches
there
that are
are.
downstairs right now.
It is, but
So, they're taking care of us
I gotta fight for the morning crew on stuff like this. Look,
fine.
if you're gonna lay it out for them, lay it out for us too. You feel me?
Yeah.
That's all I'm
Fair
saying.
enough.
That's all I'm
We
saying.
need that stuff to get our minds going in the morning.
I've yet to have coffee again this morning.
Well,
Already.
we've got
These
some
cold brews
cold
are good.
brews coming right here. Look
Yeah.
at that.
This is a
go.
happy homey cold brew.
Okay. Happy homie.
The back of
Happy
this
home, so
says
now I'm happy.
this was made in Franklin, Tennessee, actually. So
Okay.
we are shopping local by drinking these iced coffees. The good ambient sound there. It's fantastic. It's really good.
Dang.
This stuff is solid. I've never
is
had a
good.
cold brew out of a can before, but I'm kind of here for it.
And they gave you a tall boy too.
right?
Yeah, we all got tall boys.
I feel like I'm
did
at the
get tall
beach a little
boys.
bit.
My nickname
here.
in high school. Hey, tall boy. So elsewhere around the NFL, the artist formerly known as Darius Leonard spoke over the weekend on Good Morning Football, the weekend edition, and essentially said after his injury-riddled 2022, I didn't know if I'd ever be back. And it's incredible when you look at the laundry list of injuries he had. He had that offseason back surgery, came back in week 4 and immediately suffered a concussion and a broken nose that sidelined him for 3 more weeks. And then he was put on injured reserve after having surgery later on in the season because of those back issues again. So in 74 snaps in 3 games, Shaq Leonard did not give the Colts much on defense last season. Now back at Colts training camp going through drills, says he was kind of emotional to have full contact practices again, told NFL Network on Sunday. And then you've got Kenyon Drake, who joins the fold now in Indy, signing Friday afternoon with the Colts in Jonathan Taylor's absence. So Jim Irsay and the Colts go and get a contingency plan at running back over the weekend.
Oh, and you also mentioned something about them having a whale of a time too.
Yeah, that's right. So technically it's an orca, but
orca,
the point of contention on the internet. But essentially now you have Jim Irsay, who is willing to spend $20 million to help Lolita, an orca whale, whose original home was in the Pacific Ocean, after spending 53 years at the Miami Seaquarium. Jim Irsay wants to move her back to her home, which would require $20 million and like a cargo plane that can fly a whale.
My goodness.
First and foremost, the only Lolita we respect is Ron Slade's mom. You hear me?
Oh, is that
Miss Lolita? Okay, you hear
her name's
me?
Lolita.
Yes, the heck it is.
Whale.
Unless he is well.
I made that joke on purpose.
Where's Robert to
Right
intersect here?
Yeah, Rob, say something, man.
Yeah,
like,
Robert,
bro,
please.
He's off the tracks now, man.
Hey,
but
just to
go
give
ahead.
you a little substance on this is not the first time that Irsay has done this or footed the bill for a footless mammal to go across the country. He's done back in 2016. He saved 2 orcas that were in SeaWorld. So there is a precedent to this, and he has done this before.
This seems not of character when it comes to Jim Irsay. I'm sorry. This just doesn't mesh right.
I'm going the other way. See, this is what I see all the time. People care more about animals that they don't know than people that have daily interactions with. That is
I care about
far,
my dog more than some people.
I know. Well, that's your dog. Jim Irsay doesn't even know this well. And you got a well of a running back inside the organization that will not pay that man. Like, what are we talking about here?
Yeah, Jim's floundering. This is ridiculous.
Seriously, Will. What? Again, I hope the Titans smack him by 15 each time. Whatever the over-under is, press the over on them whenever they're playing against the Colts, please. This is just idiotic.
He shouldn't be kelping out an orca. He should be kelping out his running back. All right, I'm done. I promise.
Wait,
I don't know why I have a lot of whale puns.
Right? This is weird to me, though.
Yeah.
So do you feel like Jonathan Taylor – I mean, what do you feel like the situation is now with him? Because he's got to be more frustrated than ever. He's got to have now a chip on his shoulder. He doesn't want to play for the Colts.
He can't play. Period. If I'm him,
he's got to.
Do you think he has any other?
If I'm him, I'm
option?
showing up, giving you 1 day of practice, and I'm hurt.
He's got no leverage.
He doesn't. You're right. You're 100% correct. So my
That's
only
what's
leverage
crazy.
is this. I got migraines.
Oof.
If you want to play that game with me, Will, I have that right health-wise, and who's going to tell me I'm lying?
I feel like he's going to play. I mean, especially at the running back position right now. He has to.
He has to. You're right. Because it hurts the market if he doesn't, because that $10 million is
And
not
he was
in the
hurt
market.
last year.
But do you have migraines today, Will?
Well, I mean,
Kayla, how was your hamstring feeling today?
Well, I never call him
sound
sick,
like
so
Julio
it's fine.
Jones. No.
Nah, I'm a little iffy if Jim Irsay is there. If those reports are true about him in the well and you have an investment right here in your building, I'm under contract. I will uphold my contract, but I'm a little iffy today, Jack.
well, moving a whale across the country is still a better investment than moving Phillip Rivers across the country to be your quarterback. So maybe this will work out better. Last time Jim Irsay moved someone across the country, Phil Rivers didn't work out too well for him. So maybe this goes better.
Maybe Andrew Luck wanted to retire for other reasons.
To help the whales.
Coming up, more headlines around the football world where we get specific detail on a great piece by Stuart Mandel in The Athletic about the exact deal that was offered to Pac-12 schools from Apple TV and how it compares to what Oregon and Washington will get at prorated deals in the Big Ten. That and more coming up at halftime of the show as we continue this morning from Old Natchez Country Club. It is the 104.5 The Zone Summer Golf Classic. 2 hours down, 2 to go on 104.5 The Zone.
What's going on? Just a hair before 8 o'clock. Well, good morning from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. I'm Robert Walsh. Titans signed offensive lineman Justin Murray, standing 6'3", weighing 315 pounds, to help bolster the right side of the offensive line. Hurt a little bit by the Petit Frere suspension and the Jamarco Jones release. He spent 5 seasons in the NFL, played in 37 games, and started 20 of those. He just had 1 offensive snap last year, but had 90 back in 2021, 903 career snaps at right tackle, and it looks like he'll be thrown into the fire early this Saturday as the Titans take on the Chicago Bears. That game starts at noon. And some NFL hits from around the weekend. The Panthers signed pass rusher Justin Houston, and former Titans were at a premium as the Eagles signed Zach Cunningham and the Dolphins signed defensive tackle Deshaun Hand. Now we're going to send you down to Old Natchez Country Club in Franklin for the 104.5 The Zone's 2023 Summer Golf Classic. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Monday morning continues into the second half of the show. Welcome to Ramon, Kayla, and Will, and welcome to a preseason game week for your Tennessee Titans coming up in 20 minutes. Tyler Dunne of GoLongTD.com, the man who had the big headline in the NFL last week, as we get more Urban Meyer stories in Jacksonville. Music to our ears here in Nashville as well as around the NFL world. Music to your ears anytime you hear Ramon Foster and Kayla Anderson, with Robert Walsh keeping us between the navigational beacons back in our 104.5 The Zone studios. We've got Alan Kirby, getting us on the air live from Old Natchez Country Club this morning. I'm Will Bowling. I've just sent off the morning tea time of golfers who are in their carts and ready to roll.
Let's go. Bright and early. I love when other people are up with us this time of the morning. We don't
great.
usually get to see them, right? We know they're out there, but to see them, I'm like, let's go.
There's usually only one thing that can do that, and that's sporting events.
Yeah.
Either you're playing in them or watching them. Think
True.
about that. Like, that's fascinating.
Mm-hmm.
So my mission, my charge to the golfers, I had a 2-point plan for them.
Okay.
I said, first and foremost, I am on the 1 o'clock tee time. So just know that whatever you do on the golf course today, you will not be the worst golfer here. So you're going to be just fine. And I said, secondly, if you do finish second, don't brag about it as much as maybe another afternoon show on the station did.
Oh.
Just to be, just to get the people going this morning, just to stir the pot a bit.
I like
If
it.
I got second, I'd brag about it too. So Ron and Brent, I'm with you. Don't come at me. But, just got to get the people going, just get the juices flowing, get the heart rate pumping this morning. So
Got to stir things up.
Yeah.
I got my spoon out.
You
We stirred
do.
the pot a little bit.
I had one of our faithful 104.5 The Zone listeners, Scooby. I took a picture with him down there. He said this about golf. I was like, you're always golfing. He's like, man, if there's an event, I'm there for it, because he likes golfing too. I was like, what do you shoot? He was like, man, right at 100, maybe 92 is what I'll break. He was
Okay.
like,
That's solid.
only about 15% of the world shoots under 100.
Exactly.
That's so crazy.
That's what I'm
All
saying.
y'all
That's like
suck
above
then.
average.
That's-
Everybody sucks.
Well, yeah.
Okay,
even
all right, that's
the
fair.
pros suck. I
That's
mean,
fair.
Justin
Yeah.
Thomas didn't even make the FedEx playoffs.
Yeah.
71st.
Okay. All right. Well, that makes all the sense. So now I feel better about doing this, is all I'm telling
And
you.
also, just know that hopefully all of them have tee shots that get higher in the air than my first pitch did. Also,
Yeah.
True.
So
True.
that's the problem, is that a lot of times my tee shots look as bad as my first pitch.
Yeah.
Which is bad for me in multiple sports.
You know what's so fascinating about stirring the pot too?
What's
Sometimes you get close enough,
Uh-huh.
it actually splatter some, sauce back on you.
Sure.
Some sauce splatter back at you, Will.
Uh-huh.
From our teammate, Ron Slay said, shots fired. He heard it. He heard it, Will. And you know what? I'm here for this, man. Dog, we shouldn't back down because in the afternoon they get the last say, so we get the very first word the next morning.
That's right.
And he said, from the grass ball bouncer.
That's right. May all of your tee shots be much better and more athletic than my terrible first pitches.
Yeah.
So hopefully, you don't have grass burns on your golf balls like my first pitch did.
Well, a man that probably golfs better than us and probably throws out a first pitch better than us is Coach Dave McGinnis. And I wanted to say, and from all of us here at Ramon, Kayla, and Will, happy birthday, Coach Mac.
Yes. Happy birthday, Mac Attack.
You made it sound like Coach Mac was like standing right in front of us.
Yeah.
I wish he was.
I know.
But happy birthday over the airwaves certainly suffices as well.
He'll be at practice today, I'm sure, like every other day.
Yes,
right.
it will be.
The Buck Rising Show live from Titans training camp today as well. So you'll certainly want to stick around for
Are
that.
they live today too? Beautiful.
Well, they're live every Monday through Friday.
Yeah.
Oh, they're
from
going to the show.
10
Okay.
to-
All right. No, I mean.
They're
I
not
know.
out here, right?
I'm just
I
being an
promise.
agitator.
Where's
Don't
my
you worry.
bucket and where's the towels? Caleb, can you pour the water over him so we can waterboard?
I got cold
Will?
brew.
You got even
And
better.
it's really cold.
Happy homie.
Give him a little
Yeah.
taste of it.
I
Yes.
feel like Ramon, when he gets fed at a radio show, is a happy homie.
I am. Hey, you know what the motto is? Everybody eats, me.
Yep.
Feel me?
I have not eaten yet. How are the biscuits look good?
They're
I
not
hadn't
bad.
had it yet. I
They're
hadn't
not
had
bad.
it yet.
I don't want to eat on air, even though I did just
I
a
was
minute ago.
that close to doing it, Caleb, just for the theatrics.
eating on-
just
eat on
for
air.
the theatrics of it.
What's it called? Like that is one thing that people like now on social media when they make Instagram or TikToks of like the sounds of eating and the sounds of cooking. I hate it so
That's
much.
a big market right there. In case you
It's a
didn't know.
little
It's
bizarre.
terrible. Like the amount of recipes though I've gotten from Instagram and Reels though is great, but I don't know. I don't need the onomatopoeia. I don't need the crunching and the ugh.
I like the
terrible.
opening of things. That's things that fascinate me when like you open
Yeah.
a bottle or you open like we
Yeah.
did the cold brew a little bit earlier. But anything with the mouth, the sounds of the body,
Yeah.
nah.
Yeah, and
I'll pass.
there's a market. I've seen people having like 800,000 followers on their page because they sit on their page and eat. Yeah, it's really
Ugh.
fascinating.
Crazy.
That's bizarre.
Oh, we got a drone out here too.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
We're high tech around
We're-
here.
Go off
Fancy.
104.5. Couldn't be my radio station out without a drone.
737
Oh, there it is.
1045
Maybe it's catching us.
is
right
our
now.
number. So
Pretend.
over the weekend, I was telling you guys I was broadcasting a track meet on Peacock,
Right.
the Ed Murphy Classic. UT people, Ramon, so good people out there, the Murphy family, and we were doing a pole vault on Beale Street Saturday night.
What?
And we had a drone that was flying over the pole vaulters as they would go down the runway and would like be right over them in the air when they would go 19 feet into the air over the bar. And it was the first time I broadcasted something live with a drone overhead.
It looked cool from the photos
awesome.
that you showed.
Really fun.
If I've ever been scared of one sporting event, it's pole vaulting.
It's horrible. Well,
Yeah.
yeah, we had an injury in it too that was not great.
This
but-
weekend?
Yeah, we did.
Oh, man, I hope they're okay.
But it's yeah, a lot of the times when they go up and they know they're not going to get there, they just hold on to the pole and just try to like drop down on their feet.
oh, Lord.
And they're I mean, these were pros. Like we had the best 4 Americans this outdoor season in the world. So they were good, but
I'll ask a
crazy injuries.
non-football concentrated question real quick.
Yep.
At a high school that has pole vaulting,
Yep.
how do you get initiated into pole vaulting, and does the coach have to, like, be a former pole vaulter also?
I mean, yeah,
They do?
gotta have a good coach, just like
Okay.
everything else.
Okay, well, I've seen certain track coaches not run the 100 or not, actually throw.
Yeah, right.
But so, like, with pole vaulting, that's very specific because there's a lot
Sure.
that could go wrong in
Yeah,
that.
for sure.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. That's fascinating.
615-737-1045 is the number. According to 3 people with knowledge of the Pac-12 and Apple TV almost deal over the weekend, Stuart Mandel on The Athletic writes that Apple offered Pac-12 members a 5-year deal with an annual base rate of $23 million per school. A subsequent counteroffer lifted it to $25 million with incentives based on projected subscribers, which is akin to Apple TV's deal with MLS. So that's the case with Major League Soccer as well, that at a certain number of subscriptions, Apple gets a bigger cut. And then there are different tiers for that where if there are a certain amount of people that buy the subscription, then the league gets more money. So George Kliavkoff, the director of the Pac-12, essentially made this in tiers where at certain numbers, they would actually, the Pac-12, have the most money per school. So what this is at 1.7 million subscribers, the per school payout would have been $31.7 million. That would actually match the Big 12 deal. But Kliavkoff encouraged the room to think bigger, according to Stuart Mandel. At 5 million subscribers, which is a very large goal, the schools would eclipse $50 million per year, which is actually close to what the SEC is getting in its deal with ESPN. Pac-12 schools ultimately saying, we're not going to do this non-linear thing and bank on subscriptions getting us to a point when we can just go to a different league and get that on the front end without the subscriptions being a part of the conversation at all.
Well, and part of that is like, okay, maybe that could have happened, right? That's the whole thing. Now it's like if you don't make the move now, then you're gonna lose out. And I don't think they wanted to wait to be like, possibly this could happen, like that amount of subscriptions, right? So it was more like, let's just dodge for the Big 10, dodge for the Big 12 now. Like Geoff Schwartz was saying, it's been such a process. I think it was like now they just wanted to go. They just wanted to run for like the other conferences. And now what is going to be interesting, if the Pac-12 stays with the 4 remaining and then adds, let's say, some other schools, will they still be able to do a deal with like an Apple? Because now you're not going to have the big hitters. Right? And that's going to be interesting to see what then, if they do keep the Pac-12 together with new additions, now what kind of a deal do they get?
What type of draw? Like, let's go back a few years where the Pac-10 became the 12. Like, that was a conference of thriving, you know?
Yeah.
And to be at this point to where everybody just picked you apart, like, to me, it makes no sense for USC to be in the Big 10. You know, and Eli Drinkwitz had a very strong presser this past week. You know, speaking about the college athlete, nobody considers him. And it's funny, these coaches are trying to go to bat for players who are in this position. And I'm just thinking to myself, we told y'all years ago, hey, we needed an extra $20 in our pocket, and now we got NIL. You guys can't control it, and now you're losing athletes because you wouldn't listen to us. And now when it comes down to Eli Drinkwitz getting ahead of this transition in college football to speak about the student athlete, where was this years ago? Like, that's bothersome to me, and he's right though. Like, the lack of sleep that baseball players will have and the studying on the road. Like, it's one thing to say, man, I'm gonna get me 30 minutes of studying on the airplane. That is a huge distraction for you to have a test coming up, a game coming up, and trying to figure everything out. From my perspective, I hate studying on the plane because there's so much going on.
Yeah, I mean, I think we could get to a point, though, guys, where the conferences are going to get so big that you're essentially going to have the same conferences just under different names. Like, I think in the interim, yes, you're right. It's going to be tough when UCLA plays Rutgers in volleyball on a Tuesday night, and then they've got to come back and have class when they get home at 4 a.m. on a Wednesday. But there are ways these conferences are going to adjust to these things. And in COVID, you saw non-revenue sports would play doubleheaders if they were in a sport where you play a team twice. Like, I called a lot of SEC Network volleyball during COVID.
Okay. Yeah.
And when Missouri played Tennessee, they'd play them on a Friday night and a Saturday afternoon, and then they'd go home.
Right.
Like, it's going to be fine. Yeah. I think Eli Drinkwitz overreacted just a little bit because from my perspective and the team I was on, you know, within the last decade at the SEC level, we didn't really care. Like, we went through a ton of changes, and you get a lot of sports that are like meet-based versus one-on-one matchups. Those sports are not going to be impacted literally at all other than their conference meets are going to be in different places. So, like, sports like track and swimming and, like, things like that, literally we couldn't care less because nothing's going to change.
You know what I'm thrilled about now that I'm going to be a little petty about things?
What's that?
So when I was in school, you would hear the guys from the California schools say, we hated coming to Pullman. It's so cold. The airport is little. It would be complaint after complaint after complaint. Have fun in the Big Ten, where a majority of that weather is going to be happening year-round for y'all, and you're going to be flying into those little tiny airports. Have fun.
Enjoy.
Couldn't be my team.
Could be my team. Complaining about the elements.
Right?
Coming up, more NFL conversation with Tyler Dunne of GoLongTD.com, who put out a great story on his website about Urban Meyer and the ensuing culture change under Doug Peterson in Jacksonville. Crazy stuff coming out of this. And, you could make up stories about Urban Meyer, and I would believe they were 100% true, as thin-skinned and just annoying as that guy is to deal with. We'll go the latest from Tyler Dunne on this great piece he had. Coming up next as we continue here in hour number 3 on RKW.
It's Ramon Foster for Two Rivers 4. The F-150 has been the best-selling truck for 46 years, and Two Rivers 4 has been the leading F-154 dealer in our community for 40 years, all right? Two Rivers 4 has a huge selection of F-150s on the lot right now, and they're all priced below MSRP. You see, Two Rivers 4 always sells for the best price. Their trucks are clearly marked. No gimmicks, no shenanigans, just an honest deal and a speedy process. And did I mention Two Rivers 4 has non-commissioned salespeople, so you'll never be pressured to buy anything or feel like you're buying underneath or over your budget. No. You get what you want at Two Rivers 4. And there's a reason Two Rivers 4 has been the best in business since 1983. So if you're in the market for F-150, call, click, or go see my friends at Two Rivers 4 in Mount Juliet, just 7 miles east of the airport. Two Rivers 4, powered by Ford, driven by people.
Monday morning continues on RKW, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors. Whole crew is back together on a Monday morning with Ramon Foster and Kayla Anderson. I'm Will Bowling, and joining us on the phone lines is our good friend Tyler Dunne from GoLongTD.com, who got the internet going last week. Tyler, you could tell me that anything in the world happened under Urban Meyer with the Jacksonville Jaguars, and I would 100% A, click on it, and B, believe it. How are you, man?
I appreciate the intro. It's great being here, and I totally agree with you. Anything any player could tell me about Urban Meyer, it's hard to picture what is outside the realm of reality when it comes to a coach who enjoys, kicking his players and having women younger than his daughter grind up on his crotch and other things I probably can't say on the radio. So, yeah, he's a disaster.
Tyler, it's great stuff. And if you have not read this article yet, the people listening to us this morning, GoLongTD.com. If you are a Titans fan who loves bad stories about the Jags, bad meaning good for us here in Nashville, this is worth the price of a sub, literally just on its own at GoLongTD.com. But, Tyler, what has really impressed you the most now about the culture change that is underway in Jacksonville? Because it's crazy how quickly here the conversation switches from, okay, can Jacksonville actually sustain the offseason conversation that we always have about them and make that next step? Now the conversation here is, can the Titans challenge Jacksonville? How big has that culture change been from your perspective?
Oh, it's as 180 as it gets. And thanks so much for directing listeners to GoLongTD.com. We've got the full story there. But holy cow, Andrew Wingard, he's a veteran safety on the team who's willing to not just share a lot of these stories, but put his name to it, which is pretty cool. He's unafraid. And the reason he is unafraid is because Urban Meyer threatened to cut him just for calling him exactly what he is, a rookie head coach. So that is very real. And I think the biggest difference, you see this all the time, these college coaches who are unbelievably successful, respected. It just seems like a no-brainer kind of hire. I mean, Nick Saban, not too long ago with the Miami Dolphins, it blows up in their face, I think, because the college game, it is life and death. I mean, you lose one game in the SEC, your national title hopes are starting to fade. Boosters are going to get nervous. And so what are you going to do with these 18, 19, 20-year-old kids? You're going to push harder. You're just going to grind them down. And it is often rewarded in the form of a winning streak, national championships. It doesn't work with grown adults, right? I mean, these are grown men who aren't going to be, looking at you as some type of dictator. It just doesn't work. So I think kind of going from all of that to Doug Peterson, a coach who empowers players in every possible way, going for it on fourth down, staring down the barrel of 3-8 against the Baltimore Ravens, and just telling Trevor Lawrence, yeah, you guys pick the play out of these three, whatever you like, to go for two at the end of the game. I mean, he backs it up with his action, and I just think that they're in a really good spot. Obviously, it starts with the quarterback. Trevor Lawrence is going to be on that level with Mahomes, Allen, Burrow. I'm really convinced he is by the end of the season, but it is so much more than the quarterback, too.
Ty, you're a guy that's been in numerous locker rooms, from here in Nashville to Pittsburgh. I saw you there, met you there, to Green Bay, to all these places around the league. So it's not like you're doing stuff away from the facility and you hadn't been around NFL players. With that being said, what you wrote about Urban Meyer, how ludicrous and ridiculous and dumb was it to him to state what he's done as a college coach to NFL players, and why that just doesn't work in today's league or almost any professional league?
You've seen it too, and I think that a guy like Mike Tomlin, I mean, he's kind of the standard in terms of you don't need to coddle players and just kind of let them run the show. I mean, and I did see that here in Buffalo with Rex Ryan, and not to kind of beat that punching bag, but I mean, it was kind of country club. Training camp was really laid back, and guys loved him, especially out of Doug Marrone. So you can't go to that extreme, but I think you do need to empower players and give them a voice, give them a say. I'm doing a similar story this week on the Detroit Lions, going from Matt Patricia to Dan Campbell.
Yep.
Really similar from what the Jaguars endured, Urban Meyer to Doug Peterson. I think that, you just can't tell players F you, do what I say. If you're not on board, I'm going to cut you or trade you. Listen to what they say. Take their input. I mean, you saw that with Pittsburgh. I'm sure Mike Tomlin's door was always open, right? He's open to having a conversation, and he's having that final say. But it just blows my mind how, Bill Belichick kind of broke everybody's brain, I guess. We see him win these Super Bowls, and we just assume that can work elsewhere. It doesn't. There's a reason all of his assistants go to other teams, take over, and they're just these caricature, exaggerated versions of Belichick and the Patriots. I mean, right down to the pencil in Matt Patricia's ear, right? He doesn't even use it. His play sheet's laminated. So, I don't know. I mean, I just think that, the Vrabels, the Tomlins, the Petersons, there is a balance to strike, and some coaches get it and a lot don't.
So with that being said, too, there is usually an equal or opposite reaction, and Jacksonville seemed to have taken the opposite reaction from Urban Meyer. Of course, the Titans have to see him. I think they are everybody's favorite to win the AFC South, too. What are the Jacksonville Jaguars in your assessment of them in this second year under Doug Peterson?
Whew, man, this offense is loaded. And I thought they were pretty loaded last season without Calvin Ridley. So you drop, I get it, Ridley hasn't played football in most of, 2 seasons. But if he is everything they're saying he is in training camp, and it sounds like he is back in all caps, you have a true number one that defenses have to game plan for, in addition to Christian Kirk, who justified that crazy contract. I mean, he had over 1,000 yards, a lot of big-time catches. Zay Jones has come alive. Unbelievable considering 5 years ago he tried to throw himself out of a window, right, 30 floors up in L.A., and we talked about that for a story. It's unbelievable. Evan Ingram, one of the best receiving tight ends. Travis Etienne, into his second full season, which I got to think he's only better, a full year removed from his Liz Frank. They're going to have no problem scoring points, and because Trevor Lawrence is central to it all. The decisions that he was making, the throws he was even attempting, absurd. I guess defensively, that's where the question marks are. They didn't really do anything, right? They had a really bad defense last year. They didn't really sign anybody, draft anybody. They're hoping that what they have just matures and develops. We'll see, right? They were bad for a long time, so you have a lot of blue chip guys on that side of the ball. I think if you're Tennessee, if you're one of these teams hoping to compete with Jacksonville, you're just going to have to kind of go drive for drive with them, and there is a chance you can, because the defense remains a little iffy.
Ty, going back to just that first year for Trevor Lawrence as a rookie under Urban Meyer, probably the worst case scenario for a rookie quarterback. And I'm just curious of how much stunt and growth in that 1 year was happening, or just maybe the uncomfortable, atmosphere he was in, than to see just the massive jump in year 2. We all knew the talent that Trevor Lawrence had, but I think we were all a little surprised that we didn't see it in year 1, possibly because of Urban Meyer mania, and not in a good way.
Yeah, no doubt, Kayla. You're right. And I'm trying to think back. So I've been around Jacksonville a few times since Urban left. TJ Beathard, the backup quarterback, at one point early last season at his locker, his eyes got big. He's shaking his head. He's like, people have no clue what Trevor had to deal with. And he didn't really get into too many specifics. I think you can kind of let your mind wander to, there's all of the nonsense, the BS, the not, even traveling back with your team from the loss to Cincinnati that dropped you to 0-4. And players didn't even know that he wasn't on the plane. Like, he sits in first class, and they just assumed, oh, yeah, he's up there. Like, they didn't even know until we all found out, and they saw the same videos we did. So you can only imagine if he's doing that kind of stuff, like, what's he like to deal with behind the scenes? And he's thinking of himself as this quarterback savant who has produced all of these All-Americans. I'm sure it wrecked Trevor Lawrence as a rookie. And Lawrence, look, he made mistakes on his own. He wasn't perfect, but you have to assume that it was 95% Urban-induced, and thank God that they got rid of him. I mean, if that report doesn't come out that Urban Meyer just kicked his own kicker,
Yep.
right? It happened in the preseason, but it came out in like December. If that doesn't happen, he's the coach. Or maybe he's fired after year 2, and who knows what happens to Trevor Lawrence's game. You could even see it last year. It took him till about, I don't know, like late October, early November to kind of get that stench off of him, and by then, that point forward, he was statistically the best quarterback in football. He was unbelievable the last 7-8 weeks. So, yeah, to answer your question, I can only imagine how bad it was as the quarterback under Urban Meyer.
Tyler Dunne of GoLongTD.com joining us now on Ramon, Kayla, and Will. And Ty, when you look at coaches, that make that transition from college to the NFL, not many have success. Like, even look at a Nick Saban, who has been really the GOAT of college football for so long, coming over from Miami because he just couldn't cut it there. I think more than anything, Ty, it's probably a control thing when you think about it. I think some of the outliers is obviously Pete Carroll up in Seattle.
I think, too, I think that's why the Nick Sabans of the world are having a really difficult time with NIL, in a sense, because they're losing that control. Now, and look, it's imperfect, the system that's in place now. It is like a Wild West with everybody just kind of transferring every month, it seems. But yeah, I mean, players are now making a lot of money, millions of dollars. And before they were getting some stuff from these coaches. Let's not be naive, but they weren't paid. They weren't under salary. They weren't getting these kind of marketing deals and everything. So Saban, Meyer, all of these guys had control. They had say. You were locked into their program, and you had to kind of get on board or get out. Or there are 5, 6 5-star dudes right behind you chomping at the bit. So it's a different world, and I think that's why they just don't work out in the NFL, because you just can't, on a very human level, day-to-day, just treat players like they're kids. I mean, it kind of reminds me of what Minnesota Viking players were telling me about Mike Zimmer this time last year. And Zimmer actually won games. I mean, he has a resume as a defensive coach, but they said it got to a point where that alarm would go off at 6 a.m. and you just dreaded going to work. You hated it. You didn't even want to be there around this guy. Lions players saying the same thing about Patricia. Jaguar players saying the same thing about Urban Meyer. Like, I don't know how that translates to the tangible performance on the field, but there's some kind of connection. If you don't enjoy going to work and you dread being around your head coach, your own boss, hell, you're not going to play well.
Tyler Dunne with us this morning on Ramon, Kayla, and Will. Tyler, it's interesting. The conversation around this Titans team has been a bit more positive in training camp than at least I expected, as some of the new additions really make their presence felt. Arden Key specifically, a guy that's been impressive. With this team adding DeAndre Hopkins, where are you at on this Titans team? Because it just feels like with this franchise specifically, it's always the Titans team you most medium suspect that ends up and kind of sneaks up on people a little bit.
Right. The last thing that I'll ever do is count out the Tennessee Titans, because it just seems – I mean, right, the debate against paying running backs, I mean, Derrick Henry misses half the season, and yet they get the number 1 seed,
right,
and they're 1 or 2 Tannehill throws away from the AFC Championship game. Right there. I mean, and Henry, there's no knock on him. He is a transformer of a running back. We'll see. I'm actually going to be up at those joint practices with the Vikings, so it'll be good to kind of get some eyeballs on the Titans. I think that there's talent. DeAndre Hopkins, as much as we think he may go the way of the dodo of Julio Jones, that's kind of where these receivers seem to go to die. Look, the last time we saw him, he was healthy, he was pretty damn good. And if he can be just this, even if he's a possession receiver who catches everything, you pair that with Treylon Burks, who might be on the verge of, a big, big year. I think you're going to see a ton of talent out of him. Who knows what happens at quarterback, what Tannehill you're going to get. But, look, if he still has a little juice left, you can talk yourself into the Titans competing, because they always compete. And, eventually you have to make that big decision at quarterback. You're going to want to see Levis and if he is the future. But in the now, with Mike Vrabel and how they approach every day, this isn't a team that's just going to tank and fall apart. I can't see the wheels coming off like they did the last season.
Tyler Dunne, GoLongTD.com, has been our guest this morning on RKW. Check out that article on the Jacksonville Jaguars. And as that team gets a little less dysfunctional, fun to reminisce on the times when they were the most dysfunctional team in the National Football League. Tyler, we appreciate it as always, man.
Hey, and I guess we're branding ourselves as the House of Dysfunction. If you want to learn, how everything hit the fan, just head on over to Go Along. So, no, thanks for the opportunity, gang, and hopefully we can do it down there in person soon.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Ty.
Absolutely. There's Tyler Dunne with us this morning here on the show, and I highly recommend a subscription to that site, too.
He's great.
Not just that stuff. You get Zooms with current and past players. They did a Zoom with Warren Moon recently for subscribers, a happy hour thing. Really cool stuff. So
with this article, if you want some tea,
it's really good.
Right?
It's some tea.
It's really good.
And players are just divulging areas, just it's some good tea.
I bet they're excited to do it now, right? Now that he's out.
Yeah.
615-737-1045. We've got a couple minutes to take your Titans questions and interests going into the first preseason game this weekend for the rest of the show. 615-737-1045. We'll get to what to watch for today as the Titans get back on the practice field coming up next. Monday morning continues on RKW, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors. 615-737-1045 is our number. Titans take the practice field coming up as we get to hour number 4. You can hear the Buck Rising Show live there, and you can hear all of Kayla Anderson's takeaways from the practice field, of course, tomorrow morning. Looking forward to that.
You know what, Doug? Because we're at this golf event right now, Old Natchez Golf Club. Freaking phenomenal. Okay, the weather, at least for us, is beautiful. I'm not sure if it's a little swampy out there. I don't think it's too much humidity. But I've seen the memes. I've heard the conversations. I've saw the videos about golf and relationships and wives and husbands and, relationship stuff. And it usually comes down to time and just kids and family, right? Somebody out here got their own kid out here, okay, golfing. Okay, not one kid is going to stop them from getting their 18 holes in, is what I'm telling you, man.
Go off, King.
Go off, King. And kudos to the kid. He's out here on the golf course with his hat on backwards. I think it's a little boy, too, just watching his dad be with the bros.
He's just riding.
Just riding along. He hopped out and see the swing, probably giving everybody a thumbs down. But I just imagine the conversation was, hey, Jonathan, we don't have daycare tomorrow. Well, guess what? I got the golf event with 104.5 The Zone at Old Natchez. Well, what are we going to do about our child?
I got to give a shout out, by the way. It is my nephew Jonathan's second birthday.
Hey, happy birthday, baby Jay. That's probably him out here.
And it is not. Thank you, Robert.
But I say all that to say nothing stops golf.
No. If it's on your schedule, if it's especially if you're competing, there is no way you're going to miss out on that.
We got free food today, too, for all the golfers. I mean, we got Uncle Bud's catfish and chicken come by at 11. You got Hardy's breakfast. You got O'Charlie's dinner tonight. I'm actively trying to find a fourth for our group tonight because we had a buddy back out because of a work thing. And I'm like, all right, you're going to get fed. You're going to play golf. Here's the time. Trying to get my guy Davey Shepard to come out here.
Come on, Davey.
Of the defunct Nashville Soccer Show. May it rest in peace.
What the heck, man? Nothing stops golf. If this baby boy can be out here without his snacks and the comforts of his telephone.
No, he does have snacks.
He probably got snacks, but he's not sitting on the couch with snacks, Kayla.
You think he has his iPad?
Yeah, I didn't see an iPad in sight. iPad is watching Dad and the Bros. Dad and the Bros.
Start him young.
Start him young, Kayla. Hunter, with the hat backwards, too. Shout out to Ken Griffey.
Right?
Shout out to the kid, man. But I just recognize golf doesn't stop for anyone, y'all.
No, it does not.
Or Urban Meyer kicking his players, or just all the many other things.
I just love how his players are having a heyday now, coming out and just sharing stories.
Kayla.
It's like, get around the campfire, folks. Let's share stories about Urban Meyer's year at Jacksonville.
I will read it every single time.
Me too.
Every time. If you want to get me to subscribe to your website and to give you my hard-earned American dollars, just write a story about Urban Meyer, and I'm in.
There you go.
Done. Sold.
How much is this from Florida days?
One of the least likable people in sports. Not just football. One of the least likable human beings. When he was at Ohio State, when he was at Florida, I don't care where he was. That guy's the worst. Yeah. I will never say a good thing about Urban Meyer.
I've heard him walking in the hallway with a starter and a player that plays a role on the team as a non-starter. He would literally make it a point not to speak to the non-starter.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
What kind of environment? Any coach that goes out, well, you lied to him and you promised him, hey, I'm going to look after you like you my own son, and you get him on campus and your son tells you it's way different. One way to ruin a player is to have known that the coach is out on you. Like, that's one way to do it right there. And Urban Meyer did that time and time again when he had the flexibility of not having the transfer portal and everything.
And that's the thing. It's a whole new era now. So even if you were to go back to college football, he would not have that control.
Yep.
What Ty alluded to, Nick Saban's probably having a little bit of difficulty with too. So I don't know. Is he still? I'm guessing he's with Fox's broadcast still. Yeah. I don't really think he's going to go back to coaching at this point.
Jury's out. It just is.
615-737-1045, our number. Other headlines over the weekend, and a little bit of breaking news for the Tennessee Volunteers. So over the weekend, it was announced that former Ravenwood and former Alabama, now Tennessee third baseman Zane Denton is coming back for a COVID year. Just seconds ago, the mustached man out of the bullpen for Tennessee, Kirby Cannell, has announced that he will be taking advantage of his free year of eligibility and come back for Tony Vitello and Tennessee baseball. So a little bit of Tennessee news this morning. Over the weekend, guys, something I'm looking forward to tomorrow, and I'll mention it more probably tomorrow morning. Nashville SC gets a big win Friday night in TQL Stadium at FC Cincinnati. Nashville, the only team to beat Cincinnati in their home stadium this season. They do it in penalty kicks over the weekend. Yes, Don Davenport, there wasn't a tie. There was a winner and loser in this one. Nashville SC will host 13-time Mexican League champions Club America tomorrow night in Geodis Park. If you have not been to a game yet and you are a non-soccer person,
facts,
I promise you, turn up your radio a little bit. Ooh. This is your chance to go see, at a very low price, to go see the biggest team in the history of North American soccer play against Nashville SC in maybe the biggest game in the history of Nashville Soccer Club in the round of 16 of the Leagues Cup, which is MLS versus Liga MX. This game is going to be a blast tomorrow night.
And you'll be on the call.
Yes, that's right.
Hey, now.
Pre-game coverage beginning at 6:45 p.m. tomorrow night on 104.5 The Zone.
Our soccer club did a thing this weekend, too.
Our soccer club, yes. Arsenal won a trophy over the weekend.
You're back on that?
That was talking soccer.
Never got off.
615-737-1045. Kayla, quickly as we transition hour 4, what are you looking for on the practice field today?
Just going to look for, obviously, things still at that right tackle position, offensive line. But, the quarterbacks moving into this game weekend, what's going to happen with them, the reps, that's what I'm looking for, y'all. And we'll bring it tomorrow.
That's right.
Please, oh.
Looking forward to that.
Yeah.
615-737-1045. Our question of the day, what is the storyline you are most interested to watch as the Titans take on Da Bears this weekend? 615-737-1045. To hour 4 we go. Coming up next on 104.5 The Zone.
I'm joined now by certified arborist Dean Glasscock of Arbor Art Tree and Shrub. You offer so many services, full service tree and shrub. Right now, you guys are also hiring, searching for some really good quality people, Dean, from everything from office help to climbing arborists. What can you tell us more about people who want to join this fantastic company?
Yeah, that's right. Well, first, let's talk about, 29 years we've been in business serving the Nashville community and Middle Tennessee area. Real proud of that. And, we're an accredited company through TCIA, which says a lot. There's not many companies that can tell you that. And anyway, we work on mature trees all the way down to the woody ornamentals around your home and protect them as well with our plant health care program. And we do diagnosis as well. So that being said, give us a call, 615-299-9999. On the other end, we are looking for good quality people. We need help in the office. We're building a team right now, a new team for out in the field. So if you're interested in working outdoors in the tree industry, whether it be plant health care, if you're a certified arborist, you feel like you're at a dead-end job right now, or you're just a cutter and you want to be an arborist and be certified, we can help you with that. We can show you the right lane to get in. We find out who you are and what you're about, and we find a lane for you, and we help you prosper from there. So give us a call, 615-299-9999. So I hope you all have a great week. It's Monday. It's going to be great. Hang in there. Thanks.
Thank you, Dean. That is Arbor Art Tree and Shrub for exceptional service every single time. Make sure you call 299-9999 or just simply go online to arborart.net.
9 o'clock on the dot. What's going on? Good morning from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. I'm Robert Walsh. Titans signed Justin Murray, offensive lineman, standing at 6'3", 315, to help bolster the right side of the offensive line, hurt by the Petit Frere suspension and the Jamarco Jones release. He's played 5 seasons in the NFL with 37 games played, 20 starts in those 37 games. He only had 1 offensive snap last year, but he has played 903 career snaps at right tackle, and it looks like he'll be thrown into the fire relatively early and should see a number of snaps against Chicago on Saturday. That game is at noon. And some NFL hits from over the weekend. The Panthers signed pass rusher Justin Houston. Houston played for the Baltimore Ravens, had 9.5 sacks last year. And former Titans were at a premium yesterday, as you saw 2 signed, one by the Eagles in Zach Cunningham, and the Dolphins signed the other in defensive tackle Deshaun Hand. Now we're going to send you back down to Old Natchez Country Club in Franklin for the 104.5 The Zone's 2023 Summer Golf Classic. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
$60 more minutes left on your Monday morning RKW. Welcome in as we broadcast live from the 104.5 The Zone Summer Golf Classic with your green side from Old Natchez Country Club. A beautiful course out in front of us. Visit allfourseasonsgarages.com/Nashville. 615-737-1045 is the number if you want to join us. We've got Ramon Foster on site. Robert Walsh back in our 104.5 The Zone studios. Kayla Anderson on her way to St. Thomas Sports Park to see the Tennessee Titans on a game week. Hit the practice field. My name is Will Bowling.
Yeah, you are.
Sun is staring straight at us now.
I'm getting to it.
It felt really good this morning. It is 78 degrees outside. Ramon, I was in Memphis, like I told you over the weekend. Memphis humidity and weather doesn't get cooler after 8 o'clock. I don't know if you've ever noticed this.
Oh.
It was 96 degrees at 8:30 in the afternoon.
That sounds like Memphis to me.
It was terrible.
It's just, I'm a West Tennessee kid through and through, 100%. That was our summers, dog. Like it's so flat. It's like you're on the flat plains of sun shining on you.
It's like swampland around the Mississippi River, too.
Yeah. Facts. Oh, yeah. And then the smell. Oh, yeah. I know exactly what you're speaking of, man.
Terrible.
It's got a whole lot. It's got a whole lot of room for growth. As Memphis got a whole lot of, if they don't get it together soon, that Blue Oval City in Stanton, Tennessee, the Ford place, will take it over.
So it's funny. I knew at some point I was going to have an interaction with a Memphian where they would ask where I was from. I would say Nashville, and they would roll their eyes at me. And it was the last interaction I had in my Uber back to my hotel before I left to come back home Saturday night. I'm getting the Uber, around AutoZone Park where the Memphis Redbirds play, the AAA affiliate of the Cardinals. And this guy's like, "So where are you from?" Like, I'm from Nashville, and waited for it. He goes, the Bachelorette capital, huh? And I was just like, yeah, man, like, cool. Like, sick burn, bro. Like, I don't know what to say. And he was like, he actually ended up being nice. Ended up being like, man, I remember in 2000 when they started tearing up all those roads and just kind of building from scratch again. I was like, all right, fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough. And he was laughing. He was cool. And so I get a little dig back. I was like, man, the weather does not drop down after 9 p.m. here, does it? And he was like, no, it does not. No, it does not. The humidity stays up. The heat index broadcasting outside Saturday was 108.
God, I
know. If the heat index is over the signal of this radio station, then we have a problem.
Yeah.
If it's over 104.5, then I don't want it. I send it back.
No, I'm with you on that one. That was beautiful. I like the wordplay on that one, man.
Thank you.
Oh, and you also got to say Memphis Memphis, like it's M-E-N.
Yeah, Memphis. That's that video of the boxer.
You know. Yeah, it's one of them situations, man. But good time there. We were also having a back and forth before we came back on air, too, man.
Yeah, you're a car guy.
Big time.
I'm not as big of a car guy as you. I've never claimed to be as big of a car guy. We saw a car go by that I thought was a Bronco, and you're telling me it's something else?
It's a Land Rover Defender.
Okay.
I think that's what you saw right there. And they're both. And to be fair, the Bronco and Dre Land. Ron Slay just got into here.
Grab a mic real quick.
Hey,
no.
Willie. But what we're arguing, I'm right here in front of the fan. Yeah, you feel me? I'm right here. Yeah,
we set up the superstar
it's cool right
for the cool spot.
But we were arguing about the shape and model of a vehicle. I'm telling Will that is a Land Rover Defender. He's like, no, that's a Ford Bronco. And we just had a back and forth. He believed what he believed, and I believe what I believe right now.
I believe in your car knowledge way more than I believe in my own.
Don't back down, though, Will. If you stand on that, and guess what we got? We got a grade A matchup with me and you, okay?
Stalemate.
It's football season. Okay,
and we're going to act like it.
Everything is a competition
that's
now,
right.
okay?
That's right.
And that's all I wanted. I just wanted to argue this morning. That's all.
That's okay.
And you may be
you're
right.
You're in the right line of work to argue in the morning.
You may be right, Will. I just want to say you wrong and defend it. That's all.
Fair. 615-737-1045 if you want to join in on the discussion. Good morning, Slay.
Morning, Savage.
How are you?
The new nickname is Legs McGee out here. Because that's all he is legs now.
Getting settled in.
With his Oak Hill bag he got over there now? Oh, I was just going to call you Oak Ridge. My bad. Oak Ridge is a powerhouse, too. See what I'm saying? He come in hot. See, this is the morning. This is the afternoon energy he's coming with, Will.
That's great.
He sat down and had a wonderful, marvelous breakfast this morning. You feel me? Leisurely got our nephew up to send him on his way to school. Get him out.
The real thing I want to talk about with Slay is I want a review of the Ninja Turtles movie.
You got to flip your mic. He's on the blue one there, Bird. Unless Kirby Allen Kirby
has no control over it.
Hey, I can't do nothing. I'm over here hollering. Get that man a mic.
Or Kirby Allen Kirby.
Kirby Allen Kirby, I think, is inside. If Kirby, if you can hear the sound of my voice, can we turn the blue mic on, please?
Blue mic for Ron.
Thank you, Kirby.
There we go. What's up, Slay?
What's happening, man?
Good morning.
I'm out this thing. First and foremost, man, what's happening? I heard the shots being fired. That's why I said, let me get on over here, man.
Sure.
I got my Stogies on deck. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
My girl Becky got some extra Stogies for me, so I ain't tripping in case I run out. You know what I mean?
Mako
always gonna come through.
You see what I'm saying? No, Will.
No. This ain't the time for that, Dree. Ain't the time for that, Dree.
Back off.
You should back all the way off.
I just need to say they ran out of bread. They ran. I'm gonna say it with no. They ran out of breakfast sandwiches for Will.
Did they?
Yeah, everyone here, our army of promotions assistants got breakfast. I did not get breakfast this morning.
My girl Becky always come through.
So that is why we're having a little bit of a hangry morning show.
That's because y'all got to do the right thing at the right time at the right place, and y'all ain't.
From the W and RKW is a little hangry this morning.
But this is what I'm telling you, man. The Ninja Turtle. First of all, let me go and get this out of the way. The shots was fired. I totally understand it, and that's cool. You know what I mean? I'm always with that. Mm-hmm. All I'm saying is, Will Lee, I have protected you for the longest.
I know you have.
And now I gotta take the gloves off.
Please do.
Because see, I let you live with the bounce to the grass.
You
know what I'm saying? I said no. I'm gonna let my dog. They ain't gonna give him enough grief. I am gonna let him live.
Yeah.
But then you get out here and give a speech this morning and mention us. So now the thing you gotta understand, people, is when you trash talk, you're going to have your day, and all you got to do is just sit back and watch. So now you got to get out there at 1 o'clock. If you think I ain't going to have a close eye on you and drag you through the sand pit after, I just want you to know, I'm watching, Will Lee. So you better go out there and perform, boy.
That works.
And this is what you got to understand when you're running with a dude like that. He likes chaos. And he's gonna stand.
Foster thrives.
He's gonna stand back and be like Jerome from what's my show?
Snowfall.
From Snowfall. Oh, you better teach your boy how to squabble. Because he's gonna be watching you, Will. He gonna help you. But he gonna see how many licks you gonna throw first and sit back and laugh. I'm telling you.
The amount of fights I get in just to get Ramon going on a
Gotta know
Monday
who
morning.
you're running with, man. Gotta know who you're running with. I know this dude. I know.
Here's the thing. I tell anybody, I'm here for a good time.
All the time.
At my expense or somebody else's.
All the time.
Preferably somebody else.
I know.
We're having way too much fun for a Monday morning right now.
Hey, man, the Ninja Turtle movie pretty good, man.
Nice. Okay.
Hey, man, Cube did a good job, man. What's I got?
Rogen?
Seth Rogen, tremendous job.
I
on
love
it, man.
Seth Rogen, though,
like,
man.
They gave the whole cartoon feel, but the soundtrack is off the charts, too.
Okay.
If you thought Transformers soundtrack was good, this is killing it.
And Transformers.
It's serious.
Okay.
So Ninja Turtles, I'm telling you, man, got some good good nuggets in it. You know what I mean? It's real good. I'm gonna be honest.
Was
man.
it mostly kid, all kids, some adult? How was the theme?
It's a good mixture.
Okay.
It's a good mixture.
All right.
It's a good mixture. It's good enough for a guy 10 and up to go watch.
Even us.
Yes, yep, without question.
I'll say the same thing about the Spider-Man movie, too. Miles Morales is solid.
I got to go check it out. LeBron keep telling me about it.
You got to go check it out. You do.
Yeah.
If you hadn't checked it out, it's pretty. If I'm not mistaken, a lot of the NFL players are really attached to like the Miles Morales character. Yeah, it's a few that's been out there the same way Pokemon is. I like the animated version of it. As we talk about sending them kids back to school, baby.
Man, I'm so happy. Man, the bus didn't come to Selma 11. I had him right there at 6:54. Sitting in the car. No,
ready to go.
Just sit down. Just come on in the car and sit with me, dog. We're going to wait on this bus.
We're going to go through this trial run. We're going to get our preseason out the way.
Yeah, you better believe it.
Jeremy Fowler of ESPN reporting, guys, this morning that the Titans could have a different Saints running back when they play them week 1 to deal with. Alvin Kamara, of course, suspended for 3 games. Jeremy Fowler is reporting that Kareem Hunt is visiting with New Orleans.
Give me him before AK.
Me too.
Absolutely.
I actually thought Kareem Hunt was already on the roster already.
Man.
There's so many running backs.
It's a lot.
Drew, I got to ask you because you're a former pro.
What up?
You are in Jonathan Taylor's situation. Screw the Colts situation, right? It doesn't matter. You hear about this $20 million well excursion that Jim Irsay is into, transporting this well across country on the airplane. I didn't even know that was possible. So does the airplane have a pool in it?
It got to have something.
It's got to have something.
Man, the well going to be thirsty now.
But and needs oxygen, too. Okay,
let's
just say that, too. How are you showing up to camp? Because $10 million – it's significant.
Yeah.
What are you doing in this situation, knowing you're not going to get a new deal?
I'm on joke time.
Okay.
Since he on joke time, I got to be on joke time too. We gonna play around with Wells. Well, I gotta be on joke time when I come in here too. I don't know if I need to come in with the little neck brace on. You know what I'm saying? Acting like something that happened to me. But if this is the type of game we gonna play, then that's what I'm gonna have to go on and get into then, because that's what you want to do. Ursay, you want to do that on the jet. Then you want to pull your tour bus up. Yeah. I'm gonna pull a little school bus up. You know, let's get all the way funny. I'm gonna come to Nashville, get one of the little party buses, take it up there. Since we gonna clown, you know what I mean? You gonna do this with the well? That's what we doing? Yeah. Nah, brother, I ain't gonna be able to roll with that, man. No, I would have. You could get by with me. Let's go get some people off the streets or something like this. Let's help stop starvation or something like. Let's do something else, man. This ain't the well. I'm all for animals, y'all, but that's what we gonna do. Yeah, that's what we got $20 million to do, and I ain't got no contract. Yeah,
known whale guy, Ron Slay.
Yeah, let me go and play around with you too. Then that's cool.
Orcas, no matter.
Nah, I just call y'all to come in there with a little SeaWorld outfit on. You know what I mean? Since this game,
that left shark outfit.
Yeah, give me a contract. Yeah, I'm gonna dress up. If I dress up like a whale, will you pay me? You know what I mean? Since you want to play games. Nah, yeah, I ain't with that, man. Yeah. You know pros ain't going for that, man. That's too at all.
Coming up, the one player you are watching most closely when the Titans head to Chicago this weekend to take on the Bears. 615-737-1045. Our thoughts and your take as well on who you're watching the most this weekend when the Titans take on Chicago. That's next on RKW.
It's Ramon Foster for Zen Sports, here to tell you about Zen Sports, the new sports betting app in Tennessee, revolutionizing sports betting rewards. What if I told you that you're wasting your time and money betting on any sports book that's not Zen Sports? Zen Sports offer real cash rewards for those lucky enough to be in Tennessee, and that means no funny money, points, or credits. For a welcome bonus, you can earn 5% cash back on every bet you place for the first 15 days with no limit on your bonus also, and earn up to 3% cash back on your bets after that with Zen Sports loyalty program. So make the switch today and start betting with Zen Sports. Your wallet will thank you. I promise you that. And if you have a gambling problem, call 1-800-889-9789. Terms and conditions apply. Must be 21 years or older and present in Tennessee to bet.
Vibes are good on a Monday morning as RKW continues, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors. 615-737-1045 is our number. Happy game week to all who celebrate as the Titans get back on the practice field here shortly. Kayla Anderson will give us a full report on what she sees there coming up tomorrow morning. Will Bollinger, Bone Foster hanging out with you in the meantime. It's gotten a little bit more humid out here at Old Natchez Country Club.
Can I be bougie and say that too, though?
You may be bougie. Yeah, you played 11 years in the NFL. I think you've earned that right.
The
hitting
heat,
a lot of 300-pound dudes.
The heat and the humidity of the outdoors games that people play like golf, it really does push me away too. But I'm into it. You feel me?
Yeah, that's the hard thing about golf in this part of the country is that, honestly, the best time to golf is spring and fall.
Yeah.
Because you get the kind of moderate climates. But that being said, in Tennessee, our moderate climates last for like 30 minutes, and then it's back to either like 20 or 100.
I have said to my wife, we went to Maui one time, like, I want to learn how to golf just so I can play here.
Oh, my gosh. Like beach golf, I haven't done it yet. I will, I guess, eventually. But beach and mountain golf. As mountain golf,
like West Virginia somewhere maybe.
Well, I mean even East Tennessee, up in the Smokies, or Crossville is like the golf capital of Tennessee because it's up on the top of the Cumberland Plateau.
Okay,
so you got the elevation and everything. I mean, yeah, it's a fun hobby until I'm gonna say that now at 9:22 a.m. and when I'm out there later today, I'm probably not gonna be having much fun, but that's okay.
Yeah, that's
I'm just not good, but it's fine.
Yeah, that is fine though. I get you on that. Like, I like the scenery of what it is, and also golf is a whole lot better when you're good at it too. So that's always the dilemma is how good can a person get? But the people that golf, and I said it earlier, they'll never tell you not to golf because the only way to get good at it is to actually get some real cuts
over and over,
over. How good you want to be before we move on? I guess that's the next question.
Well, so my goal for this calendar year is to break 100.
Break 100.
We have a group of 3 right now. I'm trying to get a 4th actively right now to help us a little bit today. I will not, because it's a 4-man scramble today. Yeah. So you all 4 just play like the best ball out of those 4. You just take that guy's shot. So my goal today is for us to use like 5 of my golf shots.
Okay.
Actually, my short game is good. I'm willing to say that my chipping around the green is actually really solid right now.
Okay.
So I think 10 shots. I want to use 10 of my shots today.
All right, that's real.
My goal for the end of the year is to break 100 for the first time. I've shot 47 for 9. Just got to get under 100. So anyway. Titans getting on the practice field like we mentioned. We spoke about this a bit earlier this morning, but wanted to open the phone lines again to those of you who maybe didn't have a chance to react or weren't up and early with us this morning in hour 1. Who is the one player you are most excited to see on Saturday? We talked about broad storylines, and for me, Ramon, it's just the tempo and the scheme on offense under Tim Kelly.
Yeah.
How much, from your perspective, playing 11 years in this league, how much did you guys intentionally hide in preseason games?
Yeah.
How much, though, were you guys like experimenting with? Because I would imagine there's a mixture of both. You want to try to see if some things work, while at the same time recognizing you're not going to show all of your cards in preseason.
Experimenting, not so much. I wouldn't use that one, but players in certain situations.
Okay.
Like moving running back out of the backfield to give them some live reps against a DB. You do those types of things. So, yeah, you do that. But the thing about preseason is it's mostly vanilla in the games. Like, we be doing stuff in joint practices or against each other that we would never even touch in the games. But you do get an understanding of what the bread and butter plays are going to be. That's the thing about coaches and offensive coordinators and defensive coordinators, too. They may have to govern themselves as far as coaches, defensive coordinators, because if you're giving it a little bit more, or you giving your bread and butter, people will break that down more often than they do an offensive coach because there's so many different sets you can do stuff out of. Think about defensive player has to get in their spot no matter where they are at all times. So to throw extra flavor in the preseason, not necessarily their thing on that side of the ball. They'll probably play D-stay, something where you just stay in the basic defense. Offensively, though, you do get to see some structure stuff. Hopefully we see more motions out of Tim Kelly, resetting the offense, running back, the way they interject them into the offense. For instance, the Cleveland Jets game last week. If I was a player playing against those guys, defensively, especially Cleveland, because this is one part that's sticking out to me, they threw so many running back screens in that game that with a dynamic running back like Nick Chubb, I'd say to myself, they're going to screen him to heck this year is what I'd say. For the Titans this year, I want to see, do they pull a little bit more? Are they doing more outside zone? What is the incorporation of this team as far as the bread and butter runs? I always think that's fascinating. Look, we ran 22 double to hell, Will, when I was playing because that was our bread and butter play. And no matter what, every team that we played against was going to do it. The fancy stuff that we do throughout the year in the season becomes a game plan situation to where if we were throwing a flea flicker, you're not going to see that in the preseason. If there's an end around, you may give that to a wide receiver that you want to see his speed. Can he beat somebody to the edge and whatnot? But all in all, hopefully we see this team just operate more fluidly, Will, more with precision. And whenever they seeing Ryan Tannehill, which I don't think he's going to play a whole lot this weekend, right, seeing him get to the line of scrimmage and give a quick count, getting to getting on the ball and running 2 plays back to back. If we see those types of things, you know what it does? It at least put the people that you're going to face on edge a little bit, like their tempo's a little bit faster. Sure. And that's one thing, and even Kayla alluded to it earlier too. Vrabel said he wanted to see not just speed. Speed does, as you said, mean a whole lot. But the operation of getting the ball, getting the play in, getting it to the players, and getting to the line of scrimmage. I want to see that be faster this year too, along with the play speed, Will. Because no matter what the operation is, if you can't beat somebody one-on-one, what are we doing?
Right. 615-737-1045 if you want to give your take. For me, Mike Vrabel's 2-3 as the Titans head coach in Week 1 games.
Yeah. The
2 wins Mike Vrabel has in Week 1, 2019 at Cleveland, that team that was crowned off-season Super Bowl champions that never did anything.
I remember that.
Cameron Wake had a big game in a Titans jersey on that day. And then 2020, the Steven Gostkowski up-and-down roller coaster where he makes the kick at the buzzer to beat the Denver Broncos on Monday Night Football in COVID in front of nobody. In Mile High. So those are the only 2 wins Mike Vrabel has in Week 1. And I need to see that this team is learning from the issues it's having out of the gate under Mike Vrabel. Yeah. And that was the case really in a big way in 2021. Wasn't as big of a talking point last year because, honestly, if Randy Bullock makes a kick that he is certainly, capable of making last season. We're talking about Mike Vrabel's 3-2, and I understand that, yes, in 5 games, that's a pretty small sample size to say that Mike Vrabel has a Week 1 problem. I'm not necessarily saying that. The big problem was when you got blown out on your home field in 2021 to DeAndre Hopkins and the Arizona Cardinals. That's when that really reared its ugly head. Yeah. Because that team didn't practice together much as an offense going into Week 1.
Yeah.
DeAndre Hopkins has been available. You've got joint practices coming up with Minnesota, with New England. You've got the 2 different opportunities to see a different team. Does that impact how much you care about seeing Ryan Tannehill in preseason? The fact that you do have 2 joint practices on the docket?
It may pull back a little bit because those reps right there will be stuff that they can actually run and not worry about getting out in public too.
So from your perspective,
right.
then, was joint practice more valuable than actual preseason games in your career?
Yes. Other than seeing young guys perform under the lights. Like the biggest test that coaches give out is telling young guys, I've seen what you've done in practice, good, Will, or bad. But when we get to these stadiums where it counts, I need to know that you are going to be a true pro about that. And I've seen guys be phenomenal in practice, Will, and they disappear in the games and not make the team because of that too. So that to me seems like the biggest – That to me is the biggest test of all for this team. And one guy in particular, though, as we bring that up, we speak about the joint practices. That's going to be a thing because we'll see one-on-ones versus other teams' one-on-ones or other teams' second-round draft picks this year, right?
Right.
As far as Minnesota, seeing Jordan Addison against Christian Fulton. I mean, think about that matchup, what that's going to mean right there, too. Not only do you get Traylon and doggone DeAndre, but you also get a young guy that's in the same world as you are to a point. But, for instance, this year, the games will mean more to Tajay Spears. You know why? Because you actually can tackle. You can allow a player, even in joint practices, break through the line of scrimmage and finish a runoff. No, can you actually do that in a game? You know what I'm saying? Right. Or Jalen Duncan. Hey, The whistle blew. We don't know if that was a sack. Coach said it was, so it may be a sack.
Sure.
You may say, Coach, I'm finishing that block. It's not. So those are the scenarios you get more than anything. The finish and continuation of plays for players, specifically young players. Peter Skoronski. All right, you block Geoff. How will you actually get up for the guy that's the number 3 on the depth chart for, Chicago this upcoming weekend? That's a test for him, too. And there's a guy on this team as far as the Bears. I'm looking up some of this stuff. That is a very good defensive tackle, Andre Billings. How will he do against him? Right. Different style that Geoff plays, but he's as strong as an ox, run-stopping type of dude. So how will he actually do that against this week under the lights? Can you also have change of game scenarios for the young guys? Or how will they pursue if there's an interception or something? Like, all of this is now real live when it comes down to how you evaluate guys.
615-737-1045, the number. What is the one storyline, or who is the one player that you are most excited to watch as the Titans begin preseason football this weekend in Chicago? Let's start with John in Nashville, who's up first answering this question with us. What's up, John?
Hey, guys. Good morning.
Morning.
I think for me, the dynamic with Tajay Spears in the backfield, watching him and seeing what Tim Kelly draws up this year without having the old offensive coordinator, and seeing what they draw up play wise. And I also wanted to ask you guys, what did y'all think about for their first regular season game? Do you think Jake Haener is going to take over Derek Carr's job for the Saints? Let y'all sit back and listen.
Appreciate the call.
Appreciate the call, John.
I don't think there's any way Derek Carr is not the starting quarterback in New Orleans.
Yeah, they gave him a new contract.
Yeah, there's no way.
I'll say this in terms of investigations for questions like follow the money.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, on that one right there.
Tajay Spears is my answer. I'm totally with John. That is the one player I'm most excited to watch Saturday, because when I'm thinking, Ramon, of guys who are going to get the most play, and specifically in a patchwork offensive line, backups up front, a lot of times in preseason, these games get so ugly because you can't block anybody.
Yeah.
And you've got backup offensive linemen who maybe the 5 of them together have literally not played a single snap together, that you don't get the cohesion of that group like you would starters. And that's a problem across the league, right? I mean, you can have really good offensive line rooms that the backups, there's so much rotation at that position that you got dudes that are like introducing each other literally in the huddle, I would imagine.
Straight up.
So that being said, the safety valve options oftentimes get a lot of play in these games, where you're checking down to the running back a lot. You're scrambling a lot as the quarterback. You're checking down underneath to your slot wide receiver or your tight end, or you're just, one read, and if that's not there, let's just chuck it down to Tajay Spears. I want to see Tajay Spears get 10 to 15 touches in this game. I think that's realistic to expect on Saturday.
And I'll go. I know we got callers on the line, so I'll give a group real quick, because it's so hard to say one will, because the way the game unfolds itself, you may not get a rep. I just want to see how the wide receivers and tight ends are going to do. From Reggie Roberson being a guy that we've heard time and time again, Kyle Phillips being a guy we've heard time and time again, like watching that group actually do work together. Again, Josh Wiley being in this kind of, like, think about the names that you have that are fighting over at the wide receiver position, maybe one spot, tight end position.
Yeah, that's fair.
Josh Wiley, like, think about this. Who's going to be paired with Chig?
Well, and Colton Dowell, too, guy that, is a 7th-round pick. That's a local kid who gets to put on the uniform for the first time, but finds himself in the middle of a position battle.
It won't shock me if Colton Dowell makes the team 53 off top.
I mean, I would imagine he's got the inside track. I mean, but does Rand Carthon feel like they can sneak him through the practice squad? I don't know. I mean, we don't know the answer to that right now. And I think you bring up a good point that wide receiver is the busiest position battle. It's the crowdiest. That's not a word, but the most crowded. Thank you.
Yeah.
Making up words here from the balcony of a country club, that you do have 5 guys probably fighting for at least one spot.
I mean, think about that, Will. Like, this is stock exchange right now, the old school 90s version of it, where they're trading on the floor, right?
And it's one thing if you're Kearis Jackson and Trayshawn Harrison and Colton Dowell and Racey McMath and Reggie Roberson.
Yeah.
Specifically for Racey McMath, that's a guy that will wow you in practice. And any media member that has stood next to him on the sideline you kind of size him up a little bit and think, how in the world is this dude not, at the very least, in the 2 deep?
Yeah.
Like, he looks like Julio Jones.
Oh, come on, man.
When him and Julio were on the same roster 2 years ago, like, I would have to double-check my roster and make sure that one was Julio and one was Racy, because in pads and a helmet, they look identical. Racey McMath needs to go from being an outstanding practice player to being an outstanding football player in order to make this roster this time around, because that's a fool me once, fool me twice situation at this point.
Can't get fooled again.
You fool me, can't get fooled again.
Can't get fooled
There's
again.
an old saying in Texas, Tennessee, probably in Texas. I know it's in Tennessee. Fool me once.
Shame on you.
Shout out J. Cole.
Shout out to J. Cole and former President Bush on that.
That's
one.
right.
But Will, and that's what I mean by, all right, we've seen you run to the end zone time and time again. We've reported on, hey, how balanced Tajay is. But when it's live, Will, and the lights is on and there's a camera crew present, what are those finishing runs going to look like? Did you only get 3 yards or did you get 13?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Reggie, hey, you've broken down our defensive backs. Let's see you break down somebody else. And to Racey's point, I've heard so much positivity about Racey McMath that I'm just like, well, what's holding them back? And, well, maybe it is the performance under the lights and reading defenses and breaking down what the coverage is. Like, maybe he's supposed to do a 5-yard back instead of 5-yard in because of the coverage, and we need to know what that looked like. So, yeah. The same thing goes for Tajay Spears, you know?
So you've got a group of players, not just going with
I got
one.
the wide receivers.
Okay.
And just that back end of the wide receivers, right? After NWI. I think NWI is cool.
Other thing is, yeah, I agree with you. I think Nick Westbrook-Akine is absolutely on this roster.
So just to give you a DeAndre, Traylon, NWI.
Kyle Phillips.
I'm even watching what Kyle Phillips does. After NWI.
You don't think he's a lock to make the team?
I think, but I need to still see it on under the lights.
Oh, I think he's in Sharpie.
Even if he is,
yeah,
I still want to see. And that's all I'm agreeing with you.
Yeah,
I still need to see it.
Okay. Chris Moore, another guy who comes over from Houston. I would put him in Penn. I wouldn't put him in Sharpie yet.
A permanent marker.
I'd put him in Penn.
Okay.
On the team.
Okay.
And then from there, you're right. You've got everybody else that we just discussed. That I mean, this team could keep 7 wide receivers.
It could.
I mean, I think you could make the argument they probably should keep 7 wide receivers if they have less of a need for a fullback.
Yeah.
And you can get a guy like Trayvon Wesco from the Chicago Bears who comes in as a blocking tight end. That guy's a tight end, and he's probably a fullback too. And Kevin Rader, the same for him.
Kevin Rader, too. Right. Former teammate of mine, too.
Yeah,
He's
right.
got thicker. And I told him, I was like, bro, you got big, man. He was like, got to for what we're doing. And I was like, fair. And I'll just say this. This is why I picked NWI. Eric Reed in the Evan and Bank chat said this. He's like, Phillips above NWI right now. You know why I'm picking NWI, Will?
Special
availability.
Teams? Well, availability, too. Yeah.
And teams. He's been proven.
Because he's a core teamer on both sides. Like, he's a blocker and he's a tackler.
Come on, man.
Yeah, he's a gunner. I mean, like, that's a guy that is going to fill 3 roles for you on your team as a special teamer on offense and defense and as a wide receiver. Kyle Phillips is going to fill 2 roles, maybe as a returner if they're willing to put him back out there, and then again as a wide receiver.
And as health.
Right. 615-737-1045. Our final call for phone calls. If you have got a burning Titans question on the way out for us, we will get to headlines we have missed and your phone calls coming up next as we wrap up the show on 1045 The Zone. Hey, it's Will Bowling here from my friends at Brentwood Hearing Center, telling you that they understand choosing a hearing care provider is a big decision. And Brentwood Hearing Center's #1 priority One final segment, wrapping up the show right here on RKW, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors. The Buck Rising Show will be live from St. Thomas Sports Park coming up here in just a couple of minutes. What I'm going to tell myself is that they decided Buck Rising was such a bad golfer that he is not allowed to broadcast from a golf course.
You know what about Buck? Buck probably has zero interest in it too. 100%.
Buck certainly embraces his lack of athleticism. He is not embarrassed by it at all.
Is he not that athletic right there?
Not at all. He's not really an athlete.
What?
Robert Walsh, can you confirm nor deny Buck's lack of athleticism?
Buck is kind of like the cart cutie. You know what I mean? Like, he'll just ride around with you. He'll make sure that, did you guys he'll make sure that you brought a lighter for the cigars, but he's not really there to knock any balls off the ground.
Sure.
A cart cutie, man.
He's the passenger princess is what he is in the golf cart.
Look at that, man. And what's so hilarious about it, Buck does all sporting events, and he becomes an easy target if he didn't have such thick skin. I got to give him that. Just simply because the fact that we've announced that he's a subpar athlete, like that's like the first attack athletes would have. It's, dude, you suck at sports.
Well, as Slay noted on 3HL last week, I really don't have much room to talk. Considering that you know my claim to fame is I'm the most unathletic athlete in the history of the Southeastern Conference.
That's fair.
So I don't really have much room to speak, and I can't really go sport to sport much.
Yeah.
I just turn left and occasionally right.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with that, knowing yourself too, man. So shout out to Buck for knowing himself too, man. It's not a situation where he's out here saying he's a D1 athlete. He just went to a big-time D1 school for basketball, and that's okay too.
Yeah, that's
fine.
Know? Are they big school for basketball?
They were.
Indiana? Yeah, they were.
They were. I'll give him history.
They're kind of washed.
Yeah, I'll give him history. I'm all about history.
Listening down the line to us right now.
Yeah.
Let's go back to the phones for one final time as we wrap up the show. Let's go to Brandon in Lebanon. Wrap it up. What's going on, Brandon?
What up, B?
What's up, guys? How are y'all doing this morning? Hello? You guys doing okay?